All right. I think everything is all good at this point. All right, yeah, let me just get into a little bit. Actually, no, that makes it a little bit worse for me when it comes to my my other feed. I think I need to scoot over here a little bit more. That makes it a little bit better for me on my shorts feed, on my vertical feed for the people that are watching via vertical mobile or shorts. Yeah, there we go. It's a little bit better this way if I sit more in the center of the camera. But anyway, what's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to the stream. Hope all of you guys are doing a great. Hope all of you guys are having a great day. What is good? Welcome. Shout outs to Daniel McCarthy. Mike McCarthy. Yo, thank you for the tune-in tier pledge. Welcome back to the Elite Ninja Village. Thank you for becoming a member once again. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Like I said, yesterday we had a really good stream because people were hitting that like button. You guys enjoyed the topics, so we're going to keep on trying to do that here today. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate the tune-in tier pledge. First notification. Big love to Dior. What's up, Dior? Welcome. B Queen. Let's get into shout-outs. And then we'll get into all the topics for today. Big love to Beat Queen, big love to Rags. What is good? What is good? Welcome, welcome. I think I might have notifications for some reason. It might have disabled on accident on my cloud bot. So let me double check. No, it's not disabled on accident. I did see the Arkham's Grim. Thank you for the $1 dono, the 99¢. I don't know why it's not popping up. So I'm going to turn it off and then turn it back on and then see if I can actually get the notifications to work. So give me just a second here, guys. So thank you so much for the $1 dono. I appreciate that. All right, there we go. That works. All right, there we go. Now we're getting it. There we go. Just need a little reboot. Justin with the 3 as well.
The more and more I hear about Pokopia, the better and better it sounds.
Yeah, it's sounding pretty good. It looks like we're gonna have Minecraft style cloud servers. So like, let's say you're playing online with someone and you guys have like an island or whatever. You don't have to be online in order for someone to be able to play. Like go into the island and complete tasks or do whatever. Like if you have that option on. You're just going to be able to hop in whenever you want. So obviously if you have people that are in different time zones or they can't play at the same time, they can still finish quests, they can still build enhancements, do whatever you need to do, right? So I think that that's pretty cool. I wasn't expecting, honestly, I wasn't expecting Pokopia to be a big release for this year, but ultimately this could end up being a pretty big release. Apparently the design docket was done around Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, so like right before that or right after that. So we're going on we're going on 4 years plus, or going on 4 years because that came out 2022. So going on 4 years of this game, so 3 solid plus years of development. For a cozy sim type of game, that's pretty good. That's not bad. So it's actually looking a lot better than what I thought that the game could be. At first I was not sold, but I think because of the cloud gaming aspect of it when it comes to like the servers, I think, like I said, I don't know this for sure, but I think maybe that's the reason why, because it's constantly loading and streaming assets. Maybe that's the reason why it's game card stuff, like game key card stuff, and it's like seems like be persistent online and all of that. So we'll see when it comes to that. Thank you Arkham's Grim though, thank you for the $1 dono. I appreciate that too. Shout outs. We're at 5 on the combo board. 10 more combos and we got a 15-minute extension. Let's go. Virtual boy arrived. Hey, what's up? Yeah, my virtual boy is coming in the mail. It's gonna be here sometime before the end of the day, so that's good. What's up, David Dampier? What's good? Welcome. Daniel McCarthy, what's good? Welcome. Daniel Charney, what's up? Huddy, what's up, Huddy? Tony the Amateur, what's up, man? J Will Presents, what's good? Crash Zero says, crash in the chat. Yes, sir. Gangsta Slayer, Rags the Riches, what's up, man? Just Another Artist, what's good? Deity, what's up, Deity? What is good? I'm doing all right. I got a good workout in before the stream, so I'm doing my best, man. DJ, what's good? Cole Rowe, I think you asked about Smash Brothers and Nintendo Direct. I don't know if Smash is going to be announced this upcoming Direct. I would expect if we get a Smash announcement this year, it's going to be at the Fall Direct. So it's going to be at the September Direct and then announced for next year, or it's going to be at next year's Direct and announced for that year. So 2027, then announced for late 2027. I don't think it'd be at this upcoming Direct that we're going to have at some point, you know. Whatever the next closest Direct that we have, I don't think it's going to be at that one. But I could be wrong, you know, you never know. I never suspected Smash Ultimate would be, you know, in the March 2018 Nintendo Direct. I thought Smash Ultimate was probably going to be at least another year or two away. And then all of a sudden they announced Smash Ultimate for December 2020, 2018. So it was pretty crazy. What's up, Cole, though? Welcome. Anyone excited for Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 2? I am. I'm definitely picking that one up, Tony. I am picking that up. What's up, Dane? Welcome. What is good? Jeff Shadow, what is good? Welcome to the stream. I've been working on 100% for Xenoblade X. They'll dine on the hill of Cosmos being a new playable character in the Arcade's Challenge Edition to X. Yeah, that's okay. Have fun with that. Let's see here. Rag, what's up, Rags? Virtual Boy, you got your Virtual Boy too? Grifters will Pokoping the sales numbers. Pokoping the sales numbers. Pokoping the sales. And damn it, figure drawing. I still need to say, I need to send you what I owe you, Figure John. I keep on saying I'm not doing just a duck. Like, honestly, I really need to send you that. Can you, if you can send me a little tab thing on PayPal, it'll send me a notification, Figure Drawing, like a pay me thing. Because, dude, I keep on forgetting, man. So I really need to send you that money that I owe you, dude. I got you, though. I just got to remember. Or if you can tag me on Twitter, just like a DM or something. Remind me, dude, because I keep forgetting. Every night I finish streaming, I don't turn on my computer again, and I totally forget. So I've owned him this for like a week now from the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. So if you can just send me like a PayPal me tab thing, or just send me an email, something to remind me so I can pay you, because I keep on forgetting. Every time I saw, I'm like, damn it, I forgot again. Let's see here. What's up, Odyssey? Welcome, man. How you doing today? Welcome to the stream. What's up, Life Will Change? Yeah, just send me a DM. All you gotta do, just Figure Drawing, just send me a DM on Twitter. If you send me a DM on Twitter, just send me a DM, or just send me an email, the same email that we use. Just send me a DM or an email, and I promise you I'll remember, because I check everything, and then I don't have it in my checks, you know, so that's why I keep on forgetting, because I turn off my computer as soon as I'm done, and if it's not on my phone, then I'm not gonna remember anything. I'm just not gonna remember. So yeah, send me that, Figure Drawing, please. Just an email, because we already have an email thread. So just send me another email on that same thread that we have that I paid you last time on. Just send me there, and I got you. I don't have Cash App. No, I have Cash App, but I don't have Cash App on this phone. No. No, I'm not gonna do it during the stream. No, I'm not doing it during the stream. Just tell them to send me it, like, because I got stuff that I gotta do with whenever I do stuff like that. I gotta do other stuff, so I can't send it during the stream. What's up, Broads Gamer? What is good? You are streaming a lot these days. Props to you. Yeah, man, I like streaming. It's fun. Should the 49ers try and get Tyreek Hill? No, unless it's the right price. But I mean, Tyreek Hill is going to command a high salary, and his injury that he had was really bad, and he's older. The Niners need a young, like a Justin Jefferson, or like, a younger, speed receiver that's going to be able to be there for years to come. Like somebody that's like in their mid to late 20s maybe. That's going to be able to sign like a nice 3 to 5 year deal. That's going to be a dominant receiver. The Niners have not had a dominant or truly dominant receiver since Terrell Owens. It's been 20 years since the Niners have had a true dominant receiver. They need somebody like that. Crispy Tofu with the $1 dono. What's up, Crispy Tofu? Thank you for the $1 dono. So yeah, they need a real #1 dominant receiver that's younger and healthy. That's what they need. And he says, hey, OJ, saw IGN recently listed FF10 as the #3 best JRPG of all time. Wondering your thoughts on what's your number for Final Fantasy is? #1 for Final Fantasy? I don't know if Final Fantasy X would be #3, but that's okay. That's an okay pick. Make sure you guys hit that like button, too. If you have not hit that like button, let them know that we're streaming out here, guys. So I appreciate the support, for real. Hit that like button. We need to have 120 likes ASAP, guys. Let's do it. I know you guys can do it. 120 likes ASAP. Played much of Tennis Fever. It's really good. I've been playing the single player mode. I played a little bit more this morning. I'm just getting through it naturally. I'll probably have everything all wrapped up this week, and then I'll play more online. Then we'll probably do like a multiplayer session this week. Let's see. Niners need to build up to counter the Hawks. They'll also go Hawks. I mean, yeah, they need defensive linemen. They need... Really, they were just all... to keep it a buck, though, the Niners were just hurt, all last year. I mean, they're just... All their good players were injured. A lot of their good players were injured. So if they can just add in some more players, and then they get Fred Warner back, they get Bosa back, they get their guys back, then I think they'll be fine. So that's really what they need to do. But yeah, having no Warner, having no Bosa, I mean, that's and having no Michael Williams. They didn't have Michael Williams either. Their number one 6'5", 300-pound draft pick. That's dominant run stopper. They didn't have him either. So you're missing two of your best defensive linemen. You're missing your best All-Pro Hall of Fame linebacker. I mean, you're not gonna really. It's tough. It's tough to win games that way. But they're able to win. They were able to win even with that. So. Will you react to the next Nintendo Direct? I know the Direct is just a partner showcase that is disappointing. I hope the next Nintendo Direct will announce a 3 Mario game. I wasn't disappointed with the Nintendo Direct partner showcase because I've been covering Nintendo for a long time, and they do mini showcases and then they do big showcases. So I'm not gonna be like, it's not I'm upset. They've been doing the same thing now for a decade, where they have a mini showcase, or they have like a indie showcase, and they have a bigger one. So it's no different than anything else. So I'm not gonna get all pissy about a indie or partner showcase when there were a bunch of good games that were announced there. Release date for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Digimon, all sorts of stuff that was great. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. So no, there's nothing wrong with that. They always do partner showcases before the big ones at the beginning of the year. That's something that they've always done. So why am I gonna be upset? Why am I going to be disappointed? For what? I like the games there. And yes, I always react to all the directs. Yes, I react to all the directs. I reacted to pretty much every single direct since 2017. I haven't missed many. What's up, Ben's 310? No divas. No divas to the Niners. Exactly. No divas. I'm so sick and tired of diva wide receivers. We've had divas since Crabtree got drafted. He was a bit of a diva, and then Ayuk, and then Deebo Samuel, and then I'm just tired of divas. I'm really, really, really tired of diva receivers. We need someone that's going to be paid well, work hard, and come to work ready to go, and then not get hurt. We need somebody that's not going to get hurt. Purcell's great. He's a good receiver, but he keeps on getting hurt. So I mean, he got shot, which is unfortunate. I'm not counting that. He got shot, and I'm glad that he's alive, but he can't stay healthy. So they need somebody that's going to be able to come in there and stay healthy, and no diva stuff. If you don't get the ball every single time, I can't have you complaining. Let's see here. Solid games with partner direct. Yeah, it's the same stuff every single time. They do this every single year. They'll have a small show, then a bigger show, and then they'll have the same amount of Nintendo Directs they always have. So nothing's disappointed to me yet. Let's see. I really like PS5 faceplates. All right. I haven't bought any though, so yeah. Let's see. Will there be a new direct in February, March? You think something like that? Probably. Yeah. I don't know about February, March or April, maybe. You see the first party Switch sales through Amazon and GameStop? I did. I posted it on Twitter. Unless Baby Mario is coming out summer, pretty zero chance we're seeing the next direct February, April window. That's not true. I don't know why that's not true. And here's the reason why I say that, is that Nintendo has been known to announce games, big games, in an early direct, and it comes out later that year. It doesn't have to be that it's a summer release. No, it's probably going to be a fall release. So here's how Nintendo splits up the Nintendo Directs for those who don't know. The games that are announced at the February, March, April, those are usually coming out. They can come out anytime in summer or fall. Games that are Nintendo Directs that are announced in the summer, those games come out fall and even next year. The games that are announced in the fall, most of them either are coming out right away, smaller games, or they're coming out next year. And that's how it's always been. When the Nintendo Switch 1 was first announced, they revealed Mario Odyssey actually in 2016, but they didn't say anything. We just saw a Mario game. We didn't know the name. We didn't know what type of Mario game it was. And then they really revealed it in January. Now, if you go to, like, let's say a different Mario game, let's talk about Super Mario Bros, New Super Mario Bros, or not New Super Mario Bros. We can talk about Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Super Mario Bros. Wonder was announced in summer of 2023 and released in November. So it was like a June announcement, or when was that direct? I know it was like a summer direct, and then it was like released then. So it's not always like that. I have been beating my head
against pro level Waluigi in Fever. It's rough, but I keep getting better each match.
Nice. Been beating your head against the pro level Waluigi. Dude, I got smoked a couple times already. So like that's kind of how it works. So that's how Nintendo kind of splits things up. Nintendo doesn't like a lot of time in between the announcement and reveal. They can have an announcement of, oh wow, here's Smash Brothers, and then it comes out in the fall. We saw that in 2018. We've actually seen it multiple times, Super Power Man, where they'll have a big announcement for a game in a February or March direct, and it comes out later that year. So it's not like it's a guarantee that if they don't announce it, or if they announce it here, it's got to be summer. No, absolutely not. It can definitely be an announcement, like let's just say March, and it launches in November. There's nothing that says, there's no pattern that says if they announce it in this, it's got to be by summer. So that's based off of history. Like I said, Super Smash Brothers, New Super Mario Bros, or not New Super Mario, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the original Wonder, things like that. So I'm just going off of what we've got before. So I don't think it's a guarantee. Same thing goes for like when they first announced the Nintendo Switch 2, the reveal event. They announced Mario in January, and then it came out in October. So, and then the media, and then there was a number of media sites that said Nintendo had no heavy hitters after Tears of the Kingdom, which was obviously not correct. But once again, the media, what they learn or what they get is not always complete information. So there's also that. So Wonder was announced in June 21st, 2023, and then it released in November. And that was a huge game. That game sold 17 million units now. That's a big game. So that's the thing. Like with Mario, with Nintendo, they can announce a game in March or April, and it can drop in November. It's no problem. They've done it before. They'll do it again. Let's see here. What's up, party man? Welcome to the stream. How you doing today? Now, once again, what you're saying could also be true. I don't want to shut the door on what Super Power Man is saying. What you're saying could also be true, but going off of Nintendo's history, they're not predictable in this type of sense to say, oh, well, if they don't announce it here, it's only going to be summer. Like that's just something that you can't always put Nintendo towards that. They'll always slot their games in a certain way. I'm expecting Fire Emblem to be a summer game. So I'm expecting that they're going to have Fire Emblem and maybe a couple other games for summer. And then the fall is going to be 3D Mario and Pokemon. Those are going to be the two big games for the fall. Probably 3D Mario is probably going to be October, I would guess, if it's coming out this year. And then Pokemon would be November. And then I don't know if they're going to have anything for December. They might have a smaller game, like a Rhythm Heaven or something like that. Or maybe Rhythm Heaven's earlier. But yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Yeah, they did the same thing with Metroid Dread as well. June announcement of Metroid Dread, boom, released in October. So there's been a number of big games where they've done that, where they announce it and then it comes out pretty short time period, 6 months or more. So yeah. So we'll see though. We will see. Mario Wonder released October. There you go, October 2023. Thank you, Justin, for another $3 dono too, man. I appreciate that. Let's go. Let me go ahead and get you on the board here. You got 6, so anybody that's 6 or more, you can beat out Justin. 9 on the combo board as well. Let's go. 6-month marketing campaign is unusual. My justification for thinking that is that I assume that they would want room for Pokemon at the end of the year. I see your point though. Yeah, I mean, like, Pokemon doesn't command like 5 months though. Like, I see what you're saying, Pokemon, it's there, but even if you go back to 2022, there were multiple games that were released alongside, big games that were released alongside Pokemon. For example, Scarlet and Violet. Scarlet and Violet released, and there was also other games in 2022 that released. So that released in that time frame. So I see what you're saying for sure. Like, I see that, but I don't think Pokemon commands the whole, the whole end of the year. That's not something that's ever happened. They'll release games alongside Pokemon. Pokemon doesn't always just release by itself. For example, even back to 2021, Metroid Dread came out in October of 2021, and then Pokemon came out in November. So they still had games that came out, and I think Mario Party came out. I think it shared Mario Party, which is always a big franchise for them too. That also shared Pokemon's release window. So that's just something, like I said, I get what you're saying for sure, but yeah, like I said, just go back and look. Pokemon always comes out, right? So Pokemon came out in 2019. Pokemon came out in 2022 with multiple games, like whether it was Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, not Diamond and Pearl, sorry, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and then Pokemon Sword and Shield, and they still had games that released next to it, you know. So I mean, but I see what you're saying for sure, though. But yeah, Nintendo, man, they'll release the games because they know that there's a bunch of different audiences for the games, you know. So Pokemon's gonna attract some people, and then Mario's gonna attract other people, and most people, not most, but a lot of people are gonna just gonna buy both. So I think that's really what it comes down to, you know. And in 2018, both Pokemon Let's Go and Smash came out together. Yeah, exactly. Pokemon Let's Go and Smash both came out, so they've shared that holiday with various different games before. Well, there you go. Pokemon Let's Go and Super Smash Bros. Both came out in that. And like I said, you can look at various other years that Pokemon comes out. They'll have other games that come out around that time period as well. So I predict Yoshi for May, Fire Emblem for July, Splatoon Raiders for September, Wildcard Mario for October, Pokemon November, Bottle of Soft Game December. Oh, that would be a good end of the year lineup. Luigi's Mansion 3 came out on October 29. Pokemon came out on November 29. There you go. So there's another one. Luigi's Mansion, which is a big game. That is not a small game, especially compared to Dread. That's not a small game. So Luigi's Mansion sold 15 million units plus at this point, and that came out alongside Pokemon as well. So they've done this multiple times. I think Superman just wasn't really thinking about what they actually did. He was just thinking about, oh, well, Pokemon's so big, nothing can launch next to it. That's just not something that Nintendo's done anytime that Pokemon comes out, you know? So there you go. That's probably one of the better ones, was 2019 with Luigi's Mansion and Pokemon Sword and Shield. Let's see here. What game are you looking forward to the most? I'm looking forward to probably Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. That's probably the thing that I'm most looking forward to this year. I might want to put together like a top 25 most anticipated games just in general. But yeah, Fortune's Weave will probably be like the thing that I'm looking forward to the most. Let's see here. Online ain't no joke, but I'll do my best. Can't stand it in aces. They control the main point immediately. Oh, yeah, you gotta practice, man. Like a lot of the times, like it's tough. I got smoked in the online too, so you gotta practice. You just gotta practice and get good with, you know, with the reaction timing. So I keep forgetting about Splatoon Raiders. Yeah, because Nintendo announced it on the app and never talked about it since then. So the reason why people keep forgetting about Splatoon Raiders is because Nintendo has forgot about it. They have forgot about Mario. They forgot about Inkling. They forgot about Inkling. So I think that's one of the reasons why people forget, because Nintendo hasn't talked about it. But we'll see this year. Probably at a Direct. Our list for this year is already loaded. We haven't had a proper Nintendo Direct. It's going to be a crazy year. I truly don't know how people can can't find games. I mean, most people can. Broad's Gamer, most people can't even afford all this stuff. It's really just a small vocal minority of people online that just get crazy about everything. But most people, once again, will be able to. And like I said, we've seen this before. Remember before the Switch 2 came out, people acted like the internet was nobody was going to buy the Switch 2. That was the overwhelming sentiment online. You had grifters making videos 24/7 saying that nobody's going to buy the system. It's going to flop. It's going to be a Wii U 2. And then the system comes out and people buy it, you know? So what people say online is not the actuality or the reality of what's happening. You know, that's why I always say, what's my favorite phrase to use outside of so yeah or overall? It's we have to wait and see. And the reason why I say we have to wait and see is because that's truly what it means, that we have to wait and see. But I'll give my opinion, like it's probably going to do this, this, or this, but we have to wait and see. Because just because people say things on the internet doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. Not, you know, so that's just how it is, man. That's just how it is. Let's see. I think Nintendo forgot about Splatoon Raiders too. Yeah, they forgot about it, man. But don't worry, they're going to bring it back. They're going to bring it back. I think that here's my theory with Splatoon Raiders. My theory with Splatoon Raiders is that it is a side part of Splatoon 4. It is a bridge to Splatoon 4, and they're going to announce Splatoon Raiders and Splatoon 4, and they're going to say side story Splatoon Raiders leads into Splatoon 4. So I do think that Splatoon 4 is probably going to be announcement sometime this year. I don't know if it's going to be at this next Nintendo Direct. I don't think so, but maybe at a, you know, at a fall Direct, for example. I think they could probably announce Splatoon, you know, 4 at a fall Direct and for a release next year. So maybe early next spring next year, 2027. But I think Splatoon Raiders might be like a bridge to Splatoon 4. That's what I'm thinking, that they're trying to connect it some way, story-wise or characters-wise or single-player-wise or something like that. Was the last two updates for Splatoon 3 a disjointed prior announcement being done with Splatoon 3 content-wise? Yeah. Whenever a main direct would be February, March, April, we'll see Splatoon Raiders, Fire Emblem. Yeah, I think that we're going to see Yoshi in the Mysterious Book. We're going to see Splatoon Raiders. We're going to see Fire Emblem. We're probably going to see Rhythm Heaven again. We haven't seen that game since they announced it last year. So we're going to see Rhythm Heaven again. And we'll probably get at least another announcement, like first-party games-wise. We'll get at least 2 to 3 announcements first-party game-wise. So I'm expecting a couple more. I'm expecting also maybe a remake or two. I wouldn't be surprised if they do like a Zelda, something with Zelda. But I'm guessing there's going to be at least 1 remake of a game, at least 2 new games, and at least, of course, updates on Fire Emblem. We really need an update on Fire Emblem. Like, we really need an update on Fire Emblem. We need to update. We need a release date for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. We need a release date for Rhythm Heaven, and we need a release date for, of course, Splatoon Raiders. And we need a release date for the Dust Bloods, not Bloodborne. The Dust Bloods. We need a release date for Elden Ring. We need to see if is Borderlands ever going to come out. That might be permanently canceled. So if they don't talk about Borderlands 4 at this upcoming Direct, then yeah, it's probably done. But we need Elden Ring and the Dust Bloods, so we'll see about those. So there's still a number of games that are undated at this point that they're probably going to be at the next Nintendo Direct. So I think it's weird to announce a spin-off, even if it's a bridge to Splatoon 4 that early, then drop next year. Yeah, probably a little weird, but I'm guessing that's the whole setup. They wanted people to know about it. They're working on something. But yeah, definitely a little bit weird, but I'm guessing that's what they're doing. That's my guess. My guess is Splatoon Raiders is going to come out this year, and then it's going to be a bridge to Splatoon 4, like the announcement for Splatoon 4. That's what my guess is, but we'll see. Also, I have no idea Nintendo's release schedule will be this year. No release for date spring is also throwing me off. Yeah, that's what a Nintendo Directs are for, Superpower Man. I tell people this every single year when people get confused. I'm like, oh, well, we don't know the date. I'm like, yeah, that's what Nintendo Directs are for. And it's the same. I mean, listen, and it's the same thing every year. People are like, I don't know. Nintendo has this stuff dated. I don't know when it's coming. I'm like, yeah, that's what Nintendo Direct. That's what they're. That's the whole point. They're gonna have Nintendo Direct, and then they're gonna give us the release dates for all that. So that's the whole point, you know. Oh man, do you think Nintendo's gonna do anything Zelda 40th? Probably, yeah. We'll see though. Some journalists were even trying to say Switch 2 was going to flop or not do better than Switch 1 before Switch 2 was even announced. Remember back in 2023, 2024? I can understand saying that it's not going to do better than Switch 1 because Switch 1 is one of the best selling systems of all time. And based on however you think it might be the best selling system of all time, most systems don't sell the best of all time. So that's a fair assessment. But in terms of just like flop, when it comes to like the system not doing well, that was obviously not a good prediction. Don't you think Splatoon 3 updates with Splatoon 4 maybe more for 2028? No, I don't think so. I think they're just doing Splatoon 3 updates just because. And they're going to do Splatoon Raiders and they're going to do Splatoon 4. So, no, I don't think it's going to take too much longer for Splatoon. I think they just want people playing Splatoon again. Really, I don't think they're trying to extend the life super, super far for Splatoon. I think they just want people to play it again and then get into Splatoon Raiders, then get into Splatoon 4. The more we hear about Pokopia, let's see here. The more I get hyped. Sounds like the system seller to me. I don't know if it's going to be a system seller, but I do think that it's going to do really well. Appreciate you letting me know about the dates happen at Nintendo Directs. Hey, look, man, I'm here. That the dates happen at Nintendo Directs. Yes. Shocking announcement. The date. Yes, we get release dates for games at Nintendo Directs. We get announcements and release dates for the year. I think the difference with Nintendo compared to other people, because I think sometimes people get kind of caught up in Microsoft and Sony where, you know, they'll probably date or they'll announce things years ago and then we'll have to wait, and finally it's coming up, and then, you know, whereas Nintendo, they'll announce stuff really close, you know.
Do you think we will reach the 1-year anniversary of the Switch 2 launch with no Xenoblade updates? I want to start Xenoblade 1 soon, but I'm just wondering how much longer we'll need to wait.
I think we're gonna have a Xenoblade update before, it'll be around, it could be after, it could be at the fall of this year, or it could be, let's just say a Monolith Soft update. So we should get a Monolith Soft update sometime this year. I just don't know if it's gonna be before or after the 1-year anniversary, so we're gonna have to wait on that one too. Dang, so we'll see. Hit that like button though, guys, I appreciate it. We're already at 12 on the combo breaks. 3 more combos and we got ourselves a 15-minute extension to tack on to the 2 hours that we normally already do. So let's see. I don't know if you've seen Assassin's Creed Shadows got a patch switch to getting water reflections now. Some other tweaks. I didn't see that, but that's good that they're adding in more stuff. You know what's funny? Hamaguchi went from saying FF has to be PS5 exclusive for better quality. Now he went full 360. I think he meant 180. Rebirth sold that bad, huh? Yeah, because if he went full 360, that means he's back to where he was. So I think he meant 180 because he turned the other direction. But yeah, I know what you mean. And yeah, I mean, listen, man. Like, listen, he's a producer, right? So one of the main things that he has to do is sell the game. That's why he's flying a Nintendo. That's the funniest thing. That's not even the funniest thing, Elias. The funniest thing is actually acknowledging Nintendo fans. The funniest thing is actually talking about it, flying to Nintendo New York and signing autographs. It's like they were like, Put, Nintendo, get off of it. Like, they were literally ignoring Nintendo for decades. And now that you need us, now all of a sudden, hey, oh my gosh, oh, this is the best. And that's how it is, right? That's how it is. And that's fine. But I mean, like, that's not even the worst of it in terms of what he said before. He just had to talk about it. It's an exclusive for PS5, so of course he's going to talk, hey, look, this is the best for the game, you know? But now that obviously it's not the best for the game, of course he's going to 180. He's going to 180 and he's going to say something different. So, but I mean, it's very clear what happened there. You know what I'm saying? It's very clear what happened there. Really wish Nintendo would work on some studio to get Splatoon anime going. I think it'd be perfect for Splatoon anime. I mean, yeah, maybe. I think they're focusing right now on the Zelda and Mario movie. Let's see here. Let's see here. I think the system seller, in my opinion, I know it's anecdotal, but I've seen a handful of tweets from folks in Japan, Spain, France, etc., saying this will make them trigger on buying a Switch 2. I think it definitely... It can be. You're talking about Pokopia, right? Yeah, I think that it can be. I did see some tweets from people also saying, wait a minute, why is this only on Switch 2? This is terrible. You know, some countries that are a little bit, you know, maybe they can't afford a Switch 2. So yeah, I think it's possible that Pokopia brings in a new audience. Yes, it's definitely possible that it does bring in a new audience. If it can get the Animal Crossing base to buy the game, it's absolutely a system seller. And here's the thing, Animal Crossing is popular. It's very popular. But before it came to the Nintendo Switch 1, it wasn't anywhere near as popular. Animal Crossing got incredibly popular due to the pandemic and it, of course, you know, being on one of the most popular systems of all time with the Switch 1. Pokopia being a cozy game with Pokemon and no new Animal Crossing yet, it sets it up to potentially get a lot of those Switch 1 users who maybe bought a Switch 2 for the Animal Crossing update or who were just, you know, getting ready and say, hey, you know what, this can tide me over. So can Pokopia be a system seller? Yes, it can, but that's going to be dependent on if the Animal Crossing base and if the Pokemon base really get into this and it's a good game. If it's a good game and reviews well and it really does add a lot of great content, yeah, I mean, you're drawing from people who like Dragon Quest Builders, Pokemon, and Animal Crossing. That is a huge base of people that will be interested that probably don't have a Nintendo Switch 2. That if that's the trigger for the game, then yeah, absolutely, it can be. But we're gonna have to wait and see. You know, we're gonna have to wait and see. But there's definitely no shortage of Pokemon and Animal Crossing fans to sell the game to. So keep that in mind. You know. How well do you think Switch 2 will sell if the price increases? I think they'll sell right around the same if the price increase is just $50. So if they go from $450 to $500, I don't think it's going to be that much worse because most people are buying the $500 model anyway. And for the, follow up on the report is that Nintendo's contemplating a price increase for the Nintendo Switch 2. The price increase would probably be $50 from $450 to $500, and then from 500 to $550 for the Mario Kart bundle, or for any other bundle that comes with the game or something like that. So that's what I think the price increase would be. It'd be about a $50 price increase. Let's see here. I think Pokopia could be popular enough to get a sequel. Well, it's not about getting a sequel first. Let's get the game out, because it's going to have a ton of content. They're probably going to do DLC. So I don't think they need to worry about a sequel right now. And I think it's more just about having a successful launch and making sure everything goes smoothly with the launch, you know, because it's launching in a couple weeks now. I started Animal Crossing New Horizons earlier this month, and now that I'm a fan of that series, I'm also a fan of Pokemon. I'll be getting Pokopia. Exactly. So once again, you've got 40 million people that bought Animal Crossing. You've got over 100 millions of sales of Pokemon games. So you're drawing from two of the largest, most dedicated fan bases out there, Animal Crossing and Pokemon. Can that entice millions to buy a system? Absolutely. I don't know if it's going to, but I definitely think it could. I mean, it absolutely could, you know? Animal Crossing and Pokemon are more popular than 99% of games released. Those two franchises are more popular than pretty much everything but like Grand Theft Auto, like Red Dead, Roblox, like the biggest of biggest games, like Fortnite, you know. But when it comes to console games, it's hard to say that there's many games that are more popular than Animal Crossing and Pokemon, you know. Let's see here. I could see Pokopia doing 15 million. I mean, that'd probably be in the long run, because Switch 2's only sold about 17 to 18 million right now. So yeah, long run, it could do really good. Could do even better than that. Who knows? Like, it can turn into a phenomenon, you know, like we don't know, but we'll see. We will see. You see Yoshi breaking into the Kirby threshold mysterious book. I don't see Kirby or Yoshi breaking into that threshold. No. Like, sales wise, no. Reviews wise, it could review really well. I'm hoping that it does above the 70s that the last two big Yoshi 2D games got. So I'm hoping it's like in the 80s at least. But I don't think it's going to be able to sell as much as Kirby and the Forgotten Land, no. Tomodachi is more of a system seller than Pokopia. It's not. And the reason why Tomodachi is not more of a system seller is because Tomodachi is already on a platform where the sales have already tapped out for the most part on the Switch 1. So most people that want Tomodachi already have it, the system.
What would you hope to see in the Xenoblade updates for each game?
Yeah, just
Is
frame rate and
resolution
yeah,
bumps across all the games good enough? Or are there other improvements you'd like to see?
No, that's it. Just frame rate and resolution bumps. I mean, there's not really much needed. I mean, maybe some adjustments to Xenoblade 2's blade system, but there's not really too much more that they would need to do, unless they're doing like a whole Switch 2 edition of the game. So yeah, so that's the reason why. But thank you, Dane, for another $3 donut. That ties you up with Justin at the top of the board in our first combo break. Let's go. Anybody that's 6 or more, you can beat out the tab between Justin and Dane at the top of the board. Thank you so much, Dane G in the house. Appreciate that. Also, Dane, I'm gonna put you up on the Stream Ninja board. Largest singular donation of the stream is 3. Oh, never mind. Let me erase that. Here comes Justin with another 3.
I played Game Gear and Yakuza Kiwami 3. It didn't feel realistic because the battery didn't die in an hour. Lol. Also, people always underestimate cozy games like this.
Yeah, people do. So yeah, and Justin, I mean, to go on Sonic's point, Tomodachi Life is not more of a system seller because Tomodachi Life is on the Switch 1. Switch 1 has already kind of played its course. Most people that are going to buy Tomodachi Life probably already have a Nintendo Switch 1. So there's no point. I mean, it's probably not going to be more of a system seller than a Pokopia, because that's on a game, or that's on a system with, you know, that doesn't have all the, you know, units out there yet. So that's the reason why. Like, Switch 1 is already kind of tapped out at this point. People are moving on to Switch 2. Thank you to Justin for another 3. You are now the Hokage once again with the 9. Appreciate that. 19 on the board. I'm not going to do a poll right now, Ali. I'll do a poll once we get closer to release, once the reviews come out and all that, then we can do a poll. It'll be painful, absorb cost, but I think Switch 2 price increase is a really bad idea. It's already $150 more than the OG Switch. Pushing it too far could backfire. Absolutely could. I mean, but I don't know what you do if the RAM prices increase to that point. I don't know what they do, you know. I don't know.
What's up, OJ?
What's up?
I haven't been watching the streams for a while. I've been on my own personal life journey.
There you go.
I just finished a 6-week group therapy program. I also see that you got the room finished.
Yeah.
I still love the village. Can't wait for Pokopia.
Thank you so much, DeAndre. I'm glad that you're on a life journey. That's good, man. That's good. Hopefully you're figuring out what you need to figure out. And I appreciate you stopping by just to make sure everything's all good. Shout out to the Maple Syrup boys over there in Canada. I appreciate you guys, man. 22 on the board. Y'all out here. DeAndre, biggest dono of the stream so far. Even does more than 367. You, but man, DeAndre, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yoshi might flop depending on the marketing. Nah, it's probably not gonna flop. Most Yoshi games don't flop, so nah, probably not. I actually think GTA 6 is gonna be bad, toxic for the industry. I could see establishing a new normal of bad business practice. I hope I'm wrong. Like, what do you mean bad business practice? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, most Yoshi games don't flop. Most of them do all right. I mean, they're 2D platformers, so I don't see Yoshi flopping really. Probably not. They all usually do pretty good. Switch 2 price increase might not hurt as much as if they get the Switch 2 Lite out for cheaper market. Yeah, I mean, like, I think the price increase, once again, I think it could come because the RAM prices. If the RAM prices jump up by, let's just say it costs them, you know, $70 more per unit, like, you're just printing losses at that point. So something needs to be done. If it's not the Switch 2 price increasing, they'll increase NSO, they'll increase amiibo prices, they'll increase something around it like they did before, because they already got hit with tariffs, but they didn't increase the price of the system, but they increased the price of everything else. Controllers, amiibos, everything got a price like $5 or $10 or more price jump, you know? So I do think that if the Switch 2 itself doesn't get a price increase, then stuff around it will get a price increase. Something's going to increase. Something's going to, because once again, these RAM prices are out of control. Once Valve isn't even selling the Steam Deck. They're not even selling it because the losses are so bad. So that they're not even selling it because the RAM situation is so bad. So that's how you know it's bad, when Valve decided to just halt, you know, sales of it. And they also decided to not there's no release date for the Steam machine. There's no release dates for the Steam Steam frame. There's no release dates because the RAM prices are so high. It'd be astronomical to release the systems or these at what we're getting right now for the prices. So that's the unfortunate part, is that the RAM crisis is hitting everybody, you know? That's the unfortunate part. Switch 2 will likely jump to $4.99, no packing game. The Mario Kart World Bundle is gone, maybe as early as the holiday before Gen 10 Pokemon drop. That's my guess. I'm guessing they're going to replace it with a different bundle. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Pokemon bundle or a 3D Mario bundle. I'm guessing a 3D Mario bundle could absolutely be a thing, and that would perk people right back up, you know? I think that would probably be something that they can do. That's true. Minecraft does really well in Japan. And anyone who may buy a Switch for Tomodachi Life, well, I've already decided that saving $50 is not worth it. Just go to Switch 2 instead. Also play Switch games. Exactly. You know, exactly. Let's see. When Smash 6 has the return of amiibos, I can see a bunch talk about the prices being way too much. Yeah, I mean, they might do more of those. They'd have to do ones for like the new ones, like the new characters or anything like that. But yeah, those could. Although we did get some price cuts on some amiibos, so. Yeah, with RAM prices generally might be a razor and blade scheme where software carries the Switch 2 into the continued profits over unchanged hardware price. Memory is way too expensive though. Yeah, I mean, like I said, that could be, but profits are already razor thin on a lot of games anyway. I got a lot of stuff, so I think it's just a difficult situation to be in right now, man. I don't know what the solution is, because if you ship, let's just say you ship 10 million units at a loss of $50 to $70 per pop. I mean, that is gonna look terrible on the books. So from a investor wise type of thing, that's just gonna be that's gonna be a disaster. So they're gonna have to figure out something though. I'm not sure how they're gonna figure it out, but they're gonna have to figure out something. So we'll see. I'm guessing $50 price increase, and then new bundle with Mario, 3D Mario, new bundle with Pokemon. That's what I'm guessing. They did a Mario Kart bundle and they did a Pokemon Legends ZA bundle. I'm guessing this holiday they're going to do the same thing. 3D Mario bundle, Pokemon, new Gen 10 Pokemon bundle. That's my guess. So $550 for those. And then if you want the base Nintendo Switch, $500 for that. That's what I'm guessing. What benefits Switch 2 is the fact that it only uses 12 gigabytes of RAM and it's not the latest cutting edge. Consoles with 16 gigabytes or incoming 30 gigabyte consoles will much more precarious situation. That's true. It's not quite as bad. That's why I think maybe it might even be, it could be a smaller price increase, right? Maybe they do, you know, $30. Maybe they do something like that. They did 30 for the Switch Lite, right? So maybe they do something like $30. Maybe it's $470 or $480. So maybe they do something like that, or $530. So they could do that too. So we'll see though. We will see. I find the insane number of people waiting for Switch 2 patch for Xenoblade X. If you're a big Xenoblade lore fan, the ending will get you hyped for the next Xenoblade game. Once again, I'm not a. I don't like I said, I've played it. I don't think that's a connection when it comes down to it. But I think Future Redeemed tells us everything that we need to know. But yeah, it's all good. Let's see here. Amiibos get expensive. Nintendo could also do more Amiibo cards instead. They could. I can see Nintendo releasing games as game key cards to reduce cost. They're not going to do that. And here's the reason why they're not going to do more game key cards just to reduce costs. Because the price is going to be the same no matter what. It's still going to be a $70 game. And all you're going to do is just get the backlash from the fans when it comes to that. So I don't see them doing that. Because the memory crisis or whatever, that's not a problem with what they're dealing with right now. They're not dealing with the memory crisis with games, like production-wise. So the prices aren't affecting game costs with that. So I don't see them just doing game key cards just because they reduce costs. I don't think that's going to be a thing. They're going to still do the regular games. They're going to still have the regular games on cartridge. Then wants more. They should just give us more Wii and 3DS remasters, more money. I mean, they're going to always remake and remaster games. They're probably going to do Virtual Console for the DS or something like that. So those are probably coming. Those are probably coming. Good comments, though. What's up, Debanyes? Welcome, man. How you doing today? $100 GTA 6 potential subscription cost. Wild DLC practice, and the game's budget is so huge that it has to make insane money and make me think that they're going to get creative with greedy business. I mean, they already have a pretty solid greedy business plan that's in play, and that's called Shark Cards with GTA Online. So all they're going to do is make GTA Online 2 or GTA Online GTA 6, and then they're just going to do the same thing that they did with GTA 5. Make a bunch of content for that and get people to buy it. So that's really what they're going to do there. Most could almost say the Falcom CEO. Falcom CEO went from our main audiences on PS4 back in 2018 to Falcom set milestone profit thanks to Chelsea and Sky First remake. Yeah. Without going too deep into things, there's a very good chance the Supreme Court shoots down the tariffs this month. Do you think that can make the difference and prevent price increase? If they shoot down the tariffs to the point where it gets back to where it's like where it's not, it didn't go up 20 or 30% or whatever, then yeah, that would definitely help, because that reduces the shipping costs and the import fee costs mightily. That would really help out. Now, will it still avert the crisis that's going on there with RAM? No, but it helped mitigate the cost of shipping the product in, you know? So yeah, that would definitely help. So I hope that happens, but something tells me it's not going to go as planned. Hit the like button though, guys. If you have not hit that like button, we got 250 plus people watching. There's no reason why we shouldn't have 200 likes. Hitting the like button is free. It's awesome and it's free. And I want to say also combo breaks and 15-minute overclock as well. Let me play it. I didn't play it for you guys.
Overclock Buster!
I don't know why I didn't play the sound. There you go, play the sound. So I want to say thank you guys so much for your support. 8 more combos, and we've got a 30-minute extension. Keep your questions coming, keep your comments coming, keep your likes coming. I appreciate that, guys, seriously. Plateau says, I bought a Switch 2 last week because I'm afraid of the price increase and I don't feel like spending $50 to $100 more. I'm not interested in any new games, but I'm still glad I got one. Yeah, here's what you should do. You're not interested in any of the new games. I would check out Donkey Kong Bonanza if you haven't played that game. Check out that game. And I would check out Metroid Prime if you haven't played that game. And I'd also check out the updates for older games. So Echoes of Wisdom, that game now plays like a dream. Super Mario Odyssey, Tears of the Kingdom, and Breath of the Wild. If you have the Nintendo Switch Online, you get those updates for free. So check out those too. Those are also great. So if you already have the cartridge, you can just pop it in. If you already have the Switch 2 Online, it'll just update. So if you have the $50 expansion one. So that's what I would, if you're not interested in anything new, I highly suggest checking out those games. Or checking out Switch 1 games. that play better on Switch 2, that play a lot better on Switch 2. Will the money make the Mario Galaxy movie help offset things for some time anyway? The Mario movie division is separate from the video game division, so they don't make decisions based on the Mario movie for business-wise with like shipping or all that. So no, all the Mario movie does is help add money to the war chest and add the value to the company itself. So basically what the effects of the Mario movie are value to the company, so share prices could increase, and money, like just money into the war chest that they already have, of a lot of money. So that's what those do. I don't think that really offsets anything, you know? The OLED Switch 2 is going to be $600, and that's going to suck. I don't think it's going to get as high as $600 for the OLED Switch 2, if they do, and I don't think it's going to be quite $600. I don't think they're going to do one unless it would make sense price-wise to do one. So they're not going to say, we're going to make one just to make one. They're only going to make one if it makes sense to make one. If anything, they're probably just going to refine the LCD and try to find ways to make the LCD nicer or use nicer tech, but then also lower cost. So if it gets to the point to where an OLED Switch 2 would have to cost $600, they probably just won't do it because the price would be too high, you know? It's the reason why they never made a Pro system for the Wii U or anything like that. It was just going to cost too much for the component cost, so they just decided not to do it and just move on. Let's see, the Nintendo War Chest is probably worth GDP of all of Europe combined. I don't know if it is. Nintendo has, you can see their cash on hand. So their cash on hand is anywhere between like 10 to 15 billion, which is a lot, but Nintendo's true value as a company comes from their IP. They can have all that money in the bank, that's fine, but Nintendo's IP, Zelda, Mario, Animal Crossing, Super Smash Brothers, these things are worth there's no value on that. It's just a very large number. So that's ultimately what makes Nintendo is their IP, because they can make a game and they can sell millions of copies out of nowhere. They can make, they have their Zelda movie, they have their merchandise, and they have all this different stuff. So cash on hand, obviously, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it just sits there. It doesn't do anything. What makes Nintendo is the games that come out, is the value that comes out, is the joy that it brings to people. That's the true value, like for us as gamers, you know? So that's really what it comes down to. Let's see here. OLED problem is 120 hertz, and VRR OLED has big issues with high refresh rates. It does have issues with that. So there is that hurdle that they'd have to somehow fix, you know? Yep. I'm good with Switch 2. My wife wants a light version. They might make one in the future, but we'll see. I'm planning on getting this second Switch 2 months from now with the cheaper 512 card and call it a day. Switch 2 this gen piece. Okay, yeah, you can do that too. Bayonetta 3, Metroid Dread, Ring Fit, Sports, Kirby Forgotten Land, Pokken Tournament. What, you want them to do updates for those games, Yamuchi? VR flickering will need to be resolved if Nintendo does an OLED one. Yeah. So once again, price of the OLED screen, issues like with 120 hertz. Like I don't see them doing an OLED anytime soon. But a Switch 2 Lite, I see them doing that more sooner than later. Anything they can do to reduce the production cost of the Switch 2. So if they can make a modular system that doesn't have Joy-Cons. Joy-Cons are expensive to produce because they're tiny. Yo, what's up, Aiden Quinn? Welcome, man. Long time no see. What's up, Juice Music? Welcome. But no, Astral Chain doesn't play better on the Switch 2. No, I mean it does. There's a few parts in the game where the frame rate drops below 30 FPS. On Switch 2, it'll lock it at 30, but it doesn't play better than 30 FPS. There's a 30 FPS lock. All they would need to do is unlock the frame rate, though. If they can just add an update to unlock the frame rate, it would make it play at 60 at least, or it would target 60. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see people feeling better about a screen justifying $600. So I'm glad Switch 2 didn't launch with the OLED screen. Yeah. Listen, man. Like, I love OLED just as much as the next person. I think OLED's great, but the problem is that the price. That'd be the issue. Like, and that's always been the issue with OLED. If you look at like OLED, like the PS Vita. The PS Vita had an OLED screen. They removed it because of the cost, because they needed to get it cheaper. So they removed the OLED screen from the PS Vita. So if you have an OLED screen, it's better than what they did later, because the cost of the OLED screens have always been an issue. So I think Now at this point, obviously you have RAM prices going up, you have component prices going up, plus OLED, that's tough. And another reason why a lot of these, I keep on bringing this up, maybe I feel like people think I'm hating, but a lot of these PC handhelds, they're flopping too, man. The prices are too high, the RAM costs are too high, and people are just like, no mas, you know, no more. What's up, J-Views? Welcome. I'm happy with Switch 2 as it is. Stuff is way too expensive right now to buy another version. Options are good, though. That's true. I'm happy how it is right now, you know, because, like, I have an OLED TV, so I can still get some OLED action, you know, with my Switch 2 if I want it. Obviously, it'd be nice if we had an OLED screen on the Switch 2 itself, but, you know, for right now, I'm okay with it, you know, because I'm not sure of how well people would receive if it's, you know, $600 OLED Switch 2. I don't think that's going to help anything right now. First come die shrink with V2 Switch 2. That's 50% more battery life, and the light, and then rather OLED. I foresee mini LED with backlight zones for HDR. Yeah, that can be something that they do. People don't realize how specific and hard it is to get an OLED 144 hertz 1080p screen of that size. It's expensive R&D. Yeah, no, people don't realize it, man. It's not easy. It is not easy. Sold the PS4 and the Switch 1, bought a Switch 2, haven't gone through my old library yet. Nice, yeah. I saw a lot of people saying that they sold their old system or two to get the Switch 2. So that's good. Switch 2 is flopping hard. Thanks for letting us know, man. I appreciate that, bro. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting us know. What are the sales numbers at? What are the sales numbers at right now since it's flopping so bad? Guys, he's a troll. Don't legitimately respond to him. Come on now, he's just a troll. Let's see here. Dat boy with the virtual got the virtual boy. This is Switch 2 is my first Nintendo console since the Wii. Oh wow, so you skipped the Wii U, you skipped the Switch 1. Man, you got a lot of games that you can play. I'm really enjoying the Switch library on it. Pragmata demos generally shocking. Running graphics this good on a tablet. Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Switch 2 has been a glorious portable mode performance. It's such a huge upgrade over Switch 1. It is a very big upgrade over Switch 1. Yeah, guys, that's like L bait. It's just a troll that made his account like 2 days ago, or just used the sock account to come here and talk because he got nothing better to do. Don't worry, man. So all he does is just literally. All he does is just comment negatively on things, on like everything that there's been nothing. So trust me, this guy is just a troll. He's not anybody worth commenting back on. I just looked through his whole activity. It's just him acting crazy. So, oh man, but it's okay, man. It's okay. We're just gonna put you in a timeout for 30 minutes. Timeout for 30 minutes. Thanks for coming out to the stream, though, because you're not here to actually have a good conversation or talk, or you're just here to try to antagonize and troll. So we're just gonna time you out, man. We're just gonna time you out. You didn't even say what up, OJ. You didn't even say, yo, what's up, OJ? How you doing today, man? So that's the first telltale sign of a troll. Not a hey, what's up, OJ, or hey, OJ, what are you talking about? Hey, or hey, oh man, like this game's coming out, or oh, here's what I think about this. It's just that's the telltale sign. It's just. We flop, or this is gonna flop. There's no build up. It's like I'm gonna like that. That's all you're here for. So that's against the rules. I already told you guys that's against the rules for any system. You can't just come in here and just start to try to argue. Like it's just we're not doing that anymore. So yeah, just time out for 30 minutes, man. Time out for 30 minutes. Hit the like button though, guys. If you have not hit that like button, hit the like button, guys. 2026. I'm not arguing with people that aren't paying up. So like. I'm not arguing with people trolls that aren't paying up. You want to argue? Pay up. So my man, what was it? Poet Pro Light or whatever. If you want to argue, pay up. Cedric with the $5 dono. Appreciate
I hope
you.
Nintendo brings Dance Dance Revolution. Mario Mix and Mario teaches typing to the Nintendo Switch 2.
Teaches typing.
Also, Rip Hideki Sato Shutaro Iida.
Yes.
Please can you play Dive into the Mellow from Sonic Adventure 2?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here is the YouTube link.
Absolutely. Rest in peace, man. One of the goats of game content or of video game production. So shout outs. Cedric, thank you for the 5, man. I appreciate that. Let me play Dive Into the Mellow Sonic Adventure 2. So I'll play that. Thank you for the support, man. I appreciate that. Let's go. And that's actually the largest donation of the stream with the $5. Shout out to Cedric. Thank you for the 5, man. 3 combos away from a 30-minute extension on today's stream. Let's go. Cedric. Thank you, Cedric, with the $5. I love that. I've always liked that name, Cedric. I don't know why, but I've always liked that name, Cedric. Best to just block the trolls. No, we don't block them because I like to get their unique view. Like it counts in the stats. So just time them out so they can't talk. So then if they come with a different account, I get a unique view for that as well. So it helps my my ad profile and all that. So I don't mind the trolls. I'm just gonna start timing them out. You know, I'll respond sarcastically and then I'm just gonna time them out. So it's all good. Like I said, I don't want to block them completely because then they'll just stop using that account. So just time them out. They'll come back on a different account. If they want to keep trolling, I'll get another unique view. So it's all good. But yeah, if you guys want to block them, if you guys have certain people that, I mean, it's best to just block them yourself. Like, there's no reason for you to interact with them. They don't help you out or make your day any better. So, let's see here. We weren't even talking about, yeah, exactly. We weren't even talking about Switch 2 sales numbers. We weren't even talking about that. That's how you know it's a telltale sign. You just come in and blurt out something. I'm impressed with how good Final Fantasy VII Remake is on Switch 2. Yeah, it's pretty nice, Aussie Dad. It's pretty nice. But OJ, Switch 2 is doomed. I sold my Switch V1 with 2 game. Wait, you sold a Switch V1 for how much? I hope you didn't sell it at like less than. I hope you sold it for a good amount. And got a decent TV to get a Switch 2. A Switch V1, like a launch model Switch. I hope you got a good amount for that, Mr. Super. I hope you did, because those are valuable. Troll farming? Oh yeah, we definitely farm trolls here. Would it be wise for the Switch 1 and Switch 1 OLED, since I got a Switch 2, to keep your Switch 1? If you have a Switch 1 that's a launch model Switch 1, that one is valuable, and I would look into seeing how much you can get for it in the future. A Switch 1 OLED, I mean, you can sell that one. But like I said, if you have a launch model Switch 1, those ones are incredibly valuable because they're hackable. So people will pay higher dollar for those ones. Now, if it's a V2 or if it's one after the launch model ones, those ones can't. So those ones aren't as valuable. But a launch model Switch 1 is very valuable. Very, very, very valuable. If someone hacks it, Nintendo's gonna ban him. Well, that's only if you go online. That's only if you go online with it, you know. But no, they're not gonna ban him. If he calls, or actually no, if he wiped his account and he moved his account over, he's no longer associated with that Switch anymore. So he's not gonna get banned. What's up, Mr. Davis? Welcome to the stream. Not that much now for a V1 Switch. Trust me, at some point it'll go up. At some point it will. At some point it will. Trust me. Not every that's why I said it needs to be like a launch model V1, like a day one or very, very early launch model V1. It's not every single one. It's like a launch model V1, like an early one. Pretty much a day one Switch 1. Those are the ones that are usually it. So I have one just chilling. I don't ever use it though. Hold up, where's mine at? I think I have it. Yeah, this is my launch model, and this Switch 1 is really ghetto. It kind of overheats. It overheats kind of like, it doesn't overheat, but the fans get loud. The fans get real loud, and it's got a crack on the back of it. It's got, yeah, and on the top right here, and the back plate is kind of loose, and the fans get super loud with this one, and it looks so tiny in comparison to the Switch 2. My left Joy-Con started drifting, but I sent it into Nintendo and they fixed it. So yeah, this is my launch model Switch 1. So this is my original dock too, but I just put a little Zelda I put a little Zelda case, but this is a launch model day one Switch one, but it still works. It still works like 100% and everything. Like I can still play, but like I said, it gets really loud, man. If you start playing something, it gets super, super loud, and it looks so low quality in comparison to in comparison to the what's it called? In comparison to a lot of the other games or a lot of the other my other Switches. It's just so loud. But yeah, I still have everything on here. Still have all my games and everything. So yeah, launch model Switch. I also have some other profiles for like if I want to buy games like on a different eShop. So still have it. I got the same one, OJ. I turned on the other day to check out the eShop, and wow, I forgot how rough. Oh yeah, the Switch One eShop experience is rough, dude. It's super rough. So yeah, if you go online with the Hack V1, they'll ban your console, not the account. I bought the following games. They're still in the plastic wrapping. Which one should I play? Which games? Graceful Requiem, and I can tell you which one to play. Are you leaning more towards February Nintendo Direct or March Direct? I'm leaning more towards not a February Direct, but we'll see, Boo Mini. I don't think there's going to be a February Direct, but I'm not sure what's going to happen, to be honest. I think that we have the Pokemon event. Next week is Pokemon Day, so I think they're going to do Pokemon Day, and then they'll probably have a Direct after that, but I have no idea what they're going to do. I don't know. Nintendo's kind of unpredictable at some point, or at a lot of points. OJ, Roundhouse kicked his Switch 1 and PS5. You know what? I don't know what happened to the Switch 1, why it cracked like that. I don't recall what I even did for it to crack like that. I don't recall what I even did, but it did. But yeah. I have the Mario Red Switch from the 35th anniversary. I'm still not selling it. I also have that Mario Red Switch from the 30th anniversary. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I got it up in my closet here. You don't get banned if you create an Emu NAND and walled garden environment auto boots through instead of official firmware. Yeah, most people don't know what that is. So I'm glad that you're able to get it done though. Got the same one, OJ. I turned it on the other day. Okay, yeah, check out the eShop J views. Nice. Switch V1. V1 Switch are horrible for hacking since the battery life sucks. Better to get the mod chip for OLED where you could overclock and get 3 to 4 hours battery life. Yeah. I still gotta get that one of these days. Maybe like a Switch Lite, something like that. I think that'd be kind of cool. Pokemon Day, then Mario Day on March 10th. Yeah, Mario Day's coming up. Is Mario Day March or is it May for Mario Day? I think it's March. So I think they're gonna do something along the lines of that, you know. OJ, is Switch 2 cooked if they introduce a price hike? No, it's not. Just because there's still gonna be games that people are gonna want to play, and you know. PS5 got a price hike a couple different times. It got a price hike, and that's not cooked either. So I don't know why Switch 2 would be cooked if it gets a price hike. No, they just have to make sure that they have better games. I think that if you increase the price, that's fine. Like that's not good, but where's like the big games to help push that, right? So I don't want a price increase, but I don't think they're cooked if they get one. No, because like I said, Sony already had a price increase a couple times now at this point, and they're not cooked either. So I don't see Nintendo being cooked, but you gotta have great games though. You gotta have great games. So they can't have the 70s brigade, right? Like you gotta have some like, you know, new Mario, new Zelda, you got Zeldas, or you gotta have something. You gotta have Pokemon. You gotta have some big games to help out with that. So if they do that, just gotta make sure that's done. Let's see, but aren't they pricing people out? Isn't that a problem? Everybody's being priced out with all sorts of stuff. PlayStation is pricing people out, and they're fine. So yeah, some people are going to be priced out, or you're going to have to sell some stuff if you want to get one. So if that $50 or whatever they raise it was too much, you're going to have to sell your Switch one if you want one. If not, then you don't buy it. I mean, that's really what it just comes down to. If you can't afford it, then you simply don't buy it. But if $50 or whatever, if that prices you out from getting it, then it's just not for you. It's just not for you, and that's okay. You don't need video games. You don't need a Switch 2. You don't need to do whatever. So, you know, that's what, like I said, that's just really what it comes down to. Same thing with PlayStation. They increased the price too. Felipe, I didn't hear you say anything about people being priced out or anything like that with PlayStation, but now you're bringing it up here. So, interesting. But you've never talked about anybody being priced out a single time with PlayStation. Not a single time. You never talked about people being priced out. You never even talked about people being priced out with $1,000 handhelds with $1,000 Xbox ROG allies. So now all of a sudden you're talking about people being priced out. This man's never even mentioned the word being priced out until now. Now all of a sudden everyone's priced out. Where were you saying people were priced out with ROG Ally? You never said that. You said, oh, well, it's powerful and people want that. That was what you said with ROG Ally. That was what you said with PlayStation. You never said anything with PS5 Pro pricing people out. You said, oh, well, it's powerful. Now all of a sudden people are priced out. Now all of a sudden, bro, come on now. Come on now. It's the first time he's ever mentioned being priced out. Let's see here. No, we can't go a single stream without him doing this because that's literally all he lives to do. He lives to do this. Let's see here. Switch 2 is still the cheapest console right now, not including. Yeah, I mean it's still one of the cheapest consoles, but still, I would like for there to be no price increase. That would be the better thing. The better thing would be no price increase. Listen, man, people are being priced out of things because things are expensive. Don't get me wrong. Things are, and obviously I know that. That's why I don't want a price increase. I understand that. That's why I say, hey, look, you should buy it now. If you want to get a PS5 or a Switch 2, you should probably get it now because later it's gonna cost too much. So if you need to sell some stuff, if you really want it, if you need to sell some stuff, if you need to, do whatever you need to do, get that done. You need to save up for a bit, but stuff's getting more expensive, man. Some people are being priced out. That is happening for sure. But like I said, with Felipe, dude's never mentioned anything. He did not say anything with PlayStation when we talked about it. When we talked about PS price increases, he said nothing about people being priced out. It was okay back then for when that happened. I don't think I don't get the priced out narrative. Almost everything is going up in price. Listen, the price, it's just things are getting expensive.
Was running across the ground and punted my first Switch V1 across the room, and it had more cracks than never mind. I can't make that joke. Lol.
Shout out to Justin. Thank you for another 3. Thank you for carrying the stream too, Justin, Dane, Cedric out here, DeAndre. Thank you guys for the support, man. 30 on the board. You guys know overclocks, combo breaks, and overclocks. 30-minute extension. Lego
Overclock Buster.
Let's see. If 550 PS5, 650 Xbox Series X, and 750 PS5 Pro haven't priced people out, 450 Switch 2 certainly isn't. Not to say price increase won't result in less sales. That is true. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it depends. Will a price increase, let's just make $50 result in less sales? It could. But it also, Nintendo could have way better software this year. So if they have Pokemon, and if they have Legend of Zelda, and of course Fire Emblem comes out and it's amazing, let's just say the price does increase. There's a chance that it actually does better. There's a big chance that it does better. A big chance because of those games. Those games would probably supersede a price increase, to be honest. That's what I'm just, like I said, I'm guessing. It'd probably supersede it. Because if you're someone that was going to pick it up at $450, $50 isn't going to make you say, oh, I'm not going to pick it up now. If Mario or Zelda comes out. Now, with the library last year, it makes it easier to say, okay, well, maybe I won't pick it up, depending. Like, if you're not into Pokemon, right? If you're not into Metroid, if you're not into, Kirby. But if they have big, brand new Gen 10 Pokemon game, and if they have a big, brand new 3D Mario, plus Fire Emblem, plus a Pokopia thingy right now, if Animal Crossing fans and if Pokemon fans think that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread or really, really, really good, I think those games could create a dynamic to where they're like, well, I'll still buy it. I'll still pick it up. I don't think that's going to stop people that want it with those games. Now, if Nintendo, once again, has a 70s brigade of pretty good games, but not the games that are like the system seller type games, outside of Pokemon Legends, none of the other games that came out are like really the biggest system sellers. Yes, Mario Kart World sold systems, Donkey Kong Bonanza sold systems, Pokemon sold systems, but the last quarter, right? But if they have, like I said, Pokemon, Mario, Fire Emblem, Pokopia becomes a thing, that could supersede like the $50, in my opinion. This could be a hot take, but if you're worried about spending extra $50 on something, you'll spend hundreds on hours. You'll need to reevaluate your priorities. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like for me, what I did is like, I never was a big movies person, but there was a point that I did go to the movies and stuff. For me, it was like, okay, well, stop going to the movies. That's what I did to get extra to spend on this or that. It was like no movies for me, you know, or wait till Netflix or something like that. So, but like I said, everybody has different situations. I don't want to be pocket watching people. You know, at the end of the day, everybody has like being priced out or a price increase could affect people negatively. You know, I'm blessed to be in a position to where that's not going to affect me too much. I mean, it still affect me because I got a lot of stuff that I got to take care of, my family and, you know, stuff that I got to take care of. But once again, I'm very simplistic in nature. I'm very, very simplistic. I don't like designer clothes. I don't buy a bunch of shoes. I don't buy really nice cologne. Actually, I do buy nice cologne, but I buy like the ones where they copy the nice colognes. These are like, I got a whole thing of this Bell luxury colognes. You know what I'm saying? That smell like Prada and all that. I got it for like 25 bucks. It's not Dolce & Gabbana and Prada, but it smells like it, and it's only 25. Some guys gotta have the Dolce & Gabbana, the Versace, the nice cologne, you know. Some people gotta have that. My wife, she bought me like $100-something cologne for Christmas a couple years ago, and I was like, I was thinking to myself, like, don't ever do that again. You know? So me, I'm very stringent on things. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be sitting here. I don't need the greatest quality of everything. I mean, I wear Reebok, Walmart t-shirts, you know. So for me, I kind of subtract from all the other areas so I can make sure that I'm good in what I'm really, really passionate about, which is technology, you know, which is my equipment, my room, my stuff, and I have people supporting me. So, you know, everybody has their things. Like I said, I don't want to pocket watch. I don't want to, you know, make fun. I don't want to diminish people's plight because it's tough, you know. But like I said, I subtract things around me and then do this, you know. And I still support my homies that stream. I still support people whenever I see them stream. I still do what I need to do, what I can in terms of supporting them too, you know. So whether it's like memberships or whatever the case is. So homie Paul Gale, you know, who else? Josie. I still do that whenever I can too as well. So that's kind of what I do. Dude, shoeheads are insane. Yeah, I mean, I haven't bought a new pair of Jordans in like years. I think the last time that I bought a new pair, I think it's been like 2 to 3 years since I bought a new pair of Jordans. And I always buy them on sale, like on the Nike app. They always have them on sale. I always buy the ones that are on sale for like $80 or $90 or something like that. So for me, that's what I do. Like, you know, I can still engage in some of the stuff that I like. Like I like cologne, but you know, I can buy the ones where they say, hey, we can emulate it. Bella Vita luxury brand. And like I said, this is like 25 bucks on Amazon, you know, and you get, I think this one's like Dolce & Gabbana. This one's like Prada. This one's like Versace. And this one's like another one. They all smell really good though. They smell just like those ones that you're gonna spend a lot more on, you know? So that's kind of what I do, man. Let's see, can I hire you as my financial advisor? I'm pretty good at stuff like that, man. Maybe in a second, maybe in my next career, I do stuff like that. I'm pretty good because I used to do numbers for a company. So I used to do numbers like when I worked at the car place. I did we did numbers there. I did numbers. I used to work at a staffing, so I have to run numbers and staffing, like how much are we getting, how much are we paying, how much are they getting paid, what's the average salary. Okay, if this person works in San Francisco, they're getting paid $150,000, but cost of living, I gotta say, hey, this is the reason why you should leave your job here in Los Angeles, because over here in this area you can live for this price and this. So I had to run people's numbers of cost of living and stuff like that and tell them, hey, this might be a better job for you because you're going to be making $15,000 or $20,000 more a year, and the rent is going to be cheaper here if you live over in this area. And I know that there's houses or there's apartments over here, so I used to have to do that for people. And like I said, these were pretty high level, tech jobs and stuff like that. So yeah. Anyway. I try to put all that experience into not only talking about sales numbers and talking about stuff here, but then also I try to apply that stuff to my own life as well, you know. Let's see here. Shout outs to Boo Mini though. Consumers activism online is pathetic. They aren't on the front line helping their fellow people down in the dumps turn a bright fortune. I feel you, man. The botting killed the sneaker game for me. Yeah, the botting was out of control. It was out of control. I want to smell like the box of a new GameCube. You know what? Maybe that should be like the gamer line of cologne, right? The gamer line of cologne. What's up, Fallen? Hey, you the homie too, bro. I'm not concerned trolling. Maybe it's because I like read other people's opinions and sometimes their negativity affects my views. Why are you letting other people's negativity affect your own views? That doesn't. Can you not think for yourself, Felipe? Like, why are you letting other people online think for yourself? Now, once again, there's nothing wrong with bringing up points for. I think that's fine. What you said wasn't bad. My only thing was this: is that you need to be fair across the board. If people are being priced out with the Switch 2, where was your thought process? Because people were saying, it's not like people weren't saying they're pricing people out with the Xbox ROG Ally or with the PlayStation 5. People were saying that. You decided to not think about that. All of a sudden, that wasn't affecting your views then, which we talked about people potentially being priced out or not then. It's not like this is a new thing. People just started talking about it. So my issue with you, Felipe, is that you do not bring that same type of energy all the time. It's only based on something when it comes to Nintendo. That energy of being priced out or that you said none of the such with a $750 PS or a $700 PS5 Pro, a $50 price increase on top of that, an $80 to play your physical games with the PS5 Pro. You said nothing of the such of people being priced out. Not a single thing. And that was a narrative out there that is too expensive and people are being priced out. You said nothing of the such. So somehow people's opinions and views somehow aren't affecting you then. But now they're affecting you. So that's my problem. My problem is the consistency, Felipe. That's my problem. It's an issue. That's why I talked about it. I brought it up. I discussed it. I said, yes, it's a thing. But my problem is that it only happens to be when you feel like it, when it's Nintendo. You said nothing of the such. When we were talking about PlayStation and all that, you were like, oh, well, it's fine. People are going to buy. You said nothing of people being priced out. So that's my only issue. That's my only issue. Just be more consistent. If you let people's opinion affect how you feel and all that, then let it be for the same things across the board. Not only when it's Nintendo and when you can come here and say something. It should be that way when the Switch or when the PS5 got a price increase twice. It should be that way when they are charging for a extra to play your physical games on a premium system. You got to spend another $80 to play your games, and then on top of that, you want online play. Well, that'll be another $80 on top of that. So if you want the full experience with the PS5 Pro, for example, it's $750 for the system plus tax here in California. That's going to be about $800 for that system. And then if you want to play your digital games, or sorry, your physical games, that's another $80 on top of that. So that's going to run you about $880 plus the tax on there. That's going to be about $900. Then if you want to play games online, that's going to run you minimum another $80. So off the top, playing online, physical games is $1,000. And you said nothing about being priced out. You didn't say a single thing. And I'm not exaggerating here. That is the cost of playing a game online, like a non-free-to-play game. So like, let's say you want to play one of Sony's games online, right? Like Helldivers. You want to play Helldivers, right? Helldivers plus, and let's say you want a physical, you got a physical copy of it, and on a PS5 Pro. Right now, that's going to be $1,000, not including the game. So you said nothing of people being priced out with this, and this was laid out in front of you. You had nothing to say about people being priced out. You know. Now, once again, I talked about it normally, and I said, hey, this is not good. Just like I said right now with the Switch 2. I definitely don't want to see a price increase. Now, however, I don't think it's going to mean that nobody's going to buy a PS5. PS5 got a price increase across the board. Did I say that nobody was going to buy it? Now people are I didn't say that. I simply said, no, I still think it's going to sell well because it has all the default games that people want to play and all of that, you know? So I think that, once again, what did I say here? I said that if Nintendo wants to keep selling the system, yes, that's going to affect sales. People aren't going to buy it as much unless they can truly bring the heat with games that get people to say, all right, you know what, I'll pay that extra to be able to play it. But if they come out, like I said, with the 70s Brigade, that's not going to be good, right? So they need Mario, they need Zelda, they need Pokemon, they need Pokopia, they need Fire Emblem, they need bangers. We need 80 plus, 90 plus type of games. That's what we need this year. This year is more important than ever. Even if there was no price increase, we still need bangers. We still need big games to come out. We still need bangers this year. I think that's pretty much a guarantee, a given, you know? I enjoy Cyberpunk on Switch too than on my PS5 because I'm playing the big games on handheld. Some people like to be able to play handheld. It's better for them, even in lower quality. Stop watching grifters. I don't think people are gonna ever stop watching grifters, because like their thumbnails and their titles. But at the end of the day, you know, what we do here is that we don't take grift. We don't need grift. And shout outs to Huddy. Thank you for the 57 months. It's while we live in a time where technology only gets more expensive post-launch. Back in the day, systems used to get cheaper over time. Sky's Music, thank you for that, Huddy. I was in my rant, so I missed it. But thank you for the 57 months, man. Yeah, you know, like I said, yeah, it sucks, dude. It sucks. But new technology can breed new prices. So back in the day, that didn't always happen. Whenever there was component shortages for games, sometimes the prices could go up on gaming or cartridges. So, but yes, for systems, usually it went down. Or they raise the price but give 6 months to a year of free online. Yeah. Do you think you'll get Pokopia? I'm thinking about getting Pokopia at this point, yeah. Because it's looking better and better based off of previews. People are really liking it. So, I don't know. I think I kind of want to play it now. Nintendo won't raise the price. They'll just raise the price of everything else. I mean, that's something that they could do as well. It's something that they could do, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think the difference is people actually want Switch 2, unlike PS5 Pro. That's why nobody's complaining about Sony scams. Well, PS5 got a price increase too. So, I mean, it's not just PS5 Pro. I'm just talking about PS5 itself also got a price increase. And they also made it to where if you buy, like, you know, you obviously, it's an $80 disc drive if you want to play your physical games. So for people that have like a PS5, you know, Slim or whatever, the ones that they came out where they don't have a disc drive built in, the newer ones. Let's see, $149.99 for Xbox and PS2, $99 for a GameCube. Yep, those were the days. Ball and gun gamers aren't priced out. Yeah, that's true. Ball and gun gamers aren't priced out. That is true. Oh man, they're never priced out. I mean, I think some people might be priced out with ball and gun gamers. So some people might be priced out with ball and gun gamers when it comes to that. Yo, Minato with the $1 dono. Appreciate that. This is, I saw Nintendo Prime Switch 2 Gen tweet. Nintendo Prime Switch 2 Gen tweet mention about Wikipedia isolates Switch 2 when it comes to ninth gen consoles. As long as the Wikipedia user, I also add that Wikipedia is not unreliable. Is not just unreliable. If you talk about page, many complain about the article being biased. Here's the situation, man. The situation is this. The situation is that the Switch 2 is Nintendo's 10th gen console. That's really all it comes down. It doesn't matter what Wikipedia says, because I can count. So Wikipedia can say whatever it wants, but there's a reason why you can't use Wikipedia in school as a source. You can't use Wikipedia as a source because it's not official. People can edit it. So here's the thing. It doesn't matter what Wikipedia says. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. All that matters is that we can count. And if you count, and if you think that the NES is 3rd gen, which everybody thinks the NES is 3rd gen, and if you think the Wii is 7th gen, which everybody, including Wikipedia, thinks the Wii is 7th gen, then the Switch is their 10th system. It's the 10th gen. It's their 10th gen system. If you factor in that the NES was the 3rd gen, this is their 10th gen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's it. You know? Doesn't matter what Wikipedia says or what isolates. It does not matter. That's irrelevant. That is irrelevant. Switch 2 launched in 2025. The next Xbox or PlayStation are going to launch closer to this generation than the Switch 2 would be to the last generation. So it makes no sense when people say it. When people say, "Oh, it's nice." No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. So it doesn't matter. That's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. And I don't care. And to be honest, I don't care what generation the Nintendo Switch 2 is in. I legitimately don't care. I'm so sick of console gens. I'm so sick of console launches. I'm sick of it. I've had enough of console gens, console launches, and people talk. I'm done. I actually do not care at all. So whatever gen people want to say, it's gen this, gen that, whatever. Xbox is damn near gen dead at this point. So it does not matter. It really does not matter. OJ, new Monolith Soft IP or Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Switch 2 edition? We'll probably get both, maybe. People are debating what gen Switch 2 is in so they can defend their favorite piece of plastic. People are saying Switch 2 isn't this or that gen because they want to use it to weaponize it against PlayStation 5. Oh, well, Switch 2 is not in the same, it's in this gen, so since it's this, so it's being compared to this, or not being compared to that. It's really just because they switch what they want to compare it to, or when they want to compare it, for usually PlayStation 5 fans, for weird, for fanboy arguing purposes. That's the reason why. Doc Trey made a video on this the other day where he caught one very easily. And I talked about this too, where before the Switch 1 came out, so Switch 1, not Switch 2, before the Switch 1 came out, people online were saying, ha ha ha, this is gonna flop. This system's gonna flop. It's gonna flop. It's gonna be this. And they would compare the PS4 sales to it and say, oh, it outsold it and this and that. When they clearly showed that the Switch 1 was going to sell better than PS4 and better than all that, they start making excuses. Oh, well, it's not the same thing, or oh, well, it's different, or oh, well, it's that, or it's this. They'll flip-flop based on whatever it's convenient for them to make their sales argument or to make their fanboy arguments with X, Y, and Z. You know, the 8th generation is the Wii U. Wii U, PS4, Xbox One. That is the 8th generation. The 7th generation is Wii, PS3, Xbox 360. That is it. There is no question. 7th gen is Wii, Xbox 360, PS3. 8th gen is Wii U, PS4, Xbox One. 9th gen is Switch 1, PS5, Xbox Series. 10th gen is Nintendo Switch 2, PS6, the next Xbox. That's it. Some people like to sit there and contort their body and make up all these different things and say, oh, well, since the Wii U failed, that means Nintendo had 2 systems in 1 gen, so that means the Switch 2 is really 9th gen, so it's being compared. It's like, no. 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 The Wii U came out within 5 years or so. 4 or 5 years. It's a somewhat, for them, normal generation. So therefore, they moved on to the next thing. That's it. Doesn't matter. Even if they did come out early, even if that does not matter. It's the successor. That's it. Switch 1 is the successor to the Wii U. Nintendo said it. It's their next hybrid home console. It's the successor to the Wii U. It is the next system. It is literally in the line that they have. Hey, here's this. That is what a new gen is. I don't care what Microsoft and Sony does or what they did or what they want to do. That's irrelevant. That is irrelevant to Nintendo having their successor. So whatever gen you can say it is, but you can't just make up, oh, well, it shares a gen with Wii U because it didn't do well. And no shots to Per Snyder from IGN, but he tried to do that when we were talking about it. I'm like, no. He's like, oh, well, Atari did that back. I'm like, no, Per, no. Doesn't matter if the Wii U failed and it shares. No, that doesn't mean it shares a generation. It doesn't play Wii U games. It has nothing to do with the Wii U. It uses a completely different architecture. It's a completely different concept. It is a successor. It is the next thing in line. It is not trying to just make do with what happened with the Wii U. That makes no sense. Makes no sense. Jose, is the Dreamcast 6th gen or is it 5th gen? Dreamcast is 6th gen. It started the gen with PlayStation 2, Xbox, and the OG, what's it called? GameCube, PS2, and the OG Xbox. So it's a 6th gen system. Dreamcast came out in what, 99? Dreamcast came out in 98, 99, one of those two. PS2 came out in 2000. It was closer to that than it was the PS1. PS1 was like 1993, 94, something like that. Dreamcast is a significant step above. It is a 6th gen. Let's see. We need Sesame Street count with these. That's what I'm saying. What's annoying, even if you give IGN, I remember correctly, made an article saying why this last gen console, Switch 1, is beating current gen console. Once again, IGN does not know what they're talking about. And I don't care that they work for IGN. I like IGN. I've been on their show. They're great people there. But if they think that that's what they're saying is right, that is incorrect. And they know that it's incorrect. But they can have whatever opinion they want, but it's incorrect. I mean, people are wrong all the time. For example, they wrote an article saying that the Nintendo Switch 2 has to deal with portable PCs, like the Steam Deck. How's that working out for them? That IGN also said that. And they really believe that portable PCs were gonna do something, you know? So what happened to that? So just because somebody says something at IGN doesn't mean it's correct. They've been wrong. I mean, they get community noted and community noted all the time on Twitter. So I mean, not most of the time, but they've been community noted a number of times. So IGN, just because IGN says something doesn't mean that they're right. I don't care how long they've been talking about video games, you know. That is my opinion, at least. But my opinion is that I can count, and my opinion is going off of what Nintendo said officially and what we've all normally counted as a generation. You know, a generation, the next thing. Switch 1 is the next generation. It is not the same generation as Wii U. It is the successor. It is the next generation. Switch 2 is the next generation after that. So there's no question about it. I mean, I hate to say this, but I'm right and they're wrong. Like, I hate to say it because people like to have their opinions, but the reality of it is that I'm right and they're wrong. That's the reality of it. And yes, people do create arguments because they're scared of whatever, you know? Switch 2 is the second generation of Switch. Well, that's a sub thing that we made up, all right? Nintendo doesn't count it that way. They still count it as the generation that they've had before, because the Switch was only created because of all the previous generations. If you go back and watch what Nintendo did, so I mean, we can check this out ourselves. So let me show you guys this. A lot of you guys forgot this, Nintendo Switch 1. And I will show you guys what Nintendo said about the Switch, okay? So we can hear straight from the horse's mouth exactly what happened with the Switch 1 and what Nintendo said about the Switch 1 and how they spoke about it when they first revealed it. Remember, this is before we knew Switch was going to blow up. People were saying that Nintendo's going to flop, right? That this system's going to flop. So here's what Nintendo said back then, okay? Here's what they said back then.
DNA from each of the many hardware systems Nintendo has released to date.
Did you hear that? I will repeat that. Let's repeat that. Should we repeat what he just said? Let's repeat what he just said.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shinya Takahashi, and I lead all Nintendo software development. Nintendo Switch has inherited DNA from each of the many hardware systems Nintendo has released to date. The Nintendo Entertainment System included 2 controllers in the base system.
That's Gen 3.
Game Boy made it possible to bring video games out of the home. Super
That's
NES
Gen 4.
added the X and Y buttons and the L and R buttons to enhance the fun. Nintendo 64
That's Gen 5.
offered the world's first analog control stick, and it introduced a rumbling controller with the development of the Rumble Pack.
That's Gen 6, the GameCube.
We put a handle on Nintendo GameCube so it could be carried around. Even at that time, we were considering a home game system that you could take with you, but it seems we were a little too soon. Nintendo DS added a touchscreen. With the Wii Remote,
This is Gen 7. So they're talking about all of the systems that they did before in each generation. What the home console, what it did, what they added. They took a little bit of the DNA of everything to make this. So let's talk a bit more.
motion control became possible. And the Wii U...
Oh my god, the Wii U! So all of the previous systems, we took a little bit from each one. They didn't say this is the same thing or the same gen. They put it in the past. And this is the successor, just like each one of them. People are trying to make up their own narratives. This is the reality. This is the truth.
Gamepad enabled you to play games off the TV. And now, Nintendo Switch has inherited all of Nintendo's entertainment DNA, and we have packed each and every one of these features into the system. Nintendo is constantly pursuing new forms of entertainment to bring more fun and more smiles to the world. And the new entertainment we will present in 2017 is Nintendo Switch.
That's it, guys. There is no damage controlling or making any type of thing with this. We went through the generations one by one. They literally said it's the successor to each one of those things. Now, obviously, handhelds have a little bit of a different timeline when it comes down to it. But Nintendo, when it comes to their home console, they took aspects of home console and portable, and this is what they're doing. It falls right in line. Handheld generations are obviously not the same thing because not everybody participates in handheld generations. Not everybody does, and there's been a lot of different competitors over the years, and obviously like the Game Boy lasted for a long time, then there was Game & Watch before that, so who knows on that? Those don't really go through. I mean, they do have their own generations that they go through, but it's very different from home consoles. It's very different from when Nintendo started, at least, which would be Gen 3. So 3DS and all that, that's a whole separate thing. That's not in the same gen as home consoles. That's not in the same gen as home consoles. It's different. Virtual Boy is a side thing. That's also not in the same gen as home consoles. So Virtual Boy, 3DS, dedicated handheld devices, those are separate things. Just like a PSP isn't in the same generation as, it's not the same generation as like that, or a PSP or a PS Vita or a Neo Geo Pocket. These are all separate things. So yeah. See, but OJ, the Switch 2 is competing against Gen 9 consoles, and it's gonna compete more against Gen 10 consoles than it is against Gen 9 consoles, because the Gen 10 consoles are gonna come out within the next 2 to 3 years, and those systems are gonna be on the market for an extended period of time, and it's gonna compete against those as well. What's your point, Felipe? What is your point? The PS4 competed against the last gen console before it too. The PS2 came out, was still competing against new people. Were still buying PS2s when the PS3 and the Xbox 360 was out. So what does that matter? That doesn't matter anything. Those systems don't have their next gen consoles out yet. That doesn't matter. There is nothing that says that you have to launch your console in the same exact time period for it to be in that same generation. The Dreamcast was competing against the PS1 and the N64. That doesn't mean it was a Gen 5 console. What does that even matter? The Dreamcast lost to the Gen 6 consoles. It lost to the PS2. It lost to the GameCube. It lost to the original OG Xbox. It didn't lose to the PS1 and to the N64. It lost to the Gen 6 consoles. So what does that matter? Let's see here. Do you think we'll get a Nintendo 4DS? No. Probably not.
Overclock Buster!
Shout outs to Noah. Alright. We're done playing that. Let's see here. I thought the Switch was also a successor to the 3DS. It is, but once again, it's not in the same... It's also a home console. So they've taken it more as a home console than it is in just a purely handheld. So that's the reason why you don't see 3DS or you don't see other those, because those are a separate thing, Superpower Man. They're not the same. Generations for handhelds or dedicated portables are not the same as generations for home consoles. Once again, a PSP is not seem to be in the same generation counting wise as a PS3, or a PS Vita is not the same generation counting wise as a PS4 or something. So so that's kind of how that works. Where's my music at? All right, here we go. I need something snazzy. The 360 and PS3 both tried to copy the Wii and put out motion controls. Wait, the 3DS is 8th generation handheld console? Oh, no. Listen. Handheld generations and home console generations are not the same thing. I hope you realize that. Because they're not the same thing. So, I don't know why we got to go over this. This has already been a thing. Handheld and home console generations are not in the same line. I do not think Nintendo's gonna make a fully original console again. Probably not. Have they not seen E3 2017? We really had a Samus Returns announced for the 3DS amidst Switch 1. That's what I'm saying. Like, Switch is obviously a successor to all of their devices at this point. Yes, it's a successor to 3DS, whatever the case is. It's a successor to Wii U as well. But when it comes to like, what does MPD classify it as? What does the sales? They classify it as a home console. That's what they classify it as. They classify it as a home console that you can take on the go. They don't classify it as a portable or a handheld, as a strictly that. They classify it as a home console, and they compare the sales numbers with other home consoles. That's what they do. So that would be whatever home consoles are on the market at the time, they'll compare it with that. When the next Xbox or the next PlayStation comes out, they're going to be compared against the Switch 2. They're not, it's not like people are going to be like, oh, it's just Xbox and PlayStation, and they're not going to use the Switch 2. Trust me. If the next new systems, when the next new systems come out, and if Sony has the PS6 and it sells better than a month or in whatever time period than the Switch 2, they're going to be, oh, look, it outsold it. They're going to be bringing up sales numbers. Trust me, they will. Trust me, because they did that with the Switch 1. Remember, Switch 1 was supposed to be compared just to the PS4. It's that. But trust me, when PS5 came out and it did better than it, people were saying, look, it outsold it. Look. It outsold it. So people will adapt when they feel like adapting, when it makes sense for whatever console war they want to push. So, no. Hey, thanks, Mr. Pro. I appreciate that, man. It would make more sense for count generations separately for each manufacturer. Switch 2, it's 8th generation Nintendo, 2nd gen Switch, PS5's 5th generation PlayStation, Xbox Series. The problem with doing that is because then you don't align it for the competition, right? So I think that's the problem with that, is that it becomes very hard to align it with, like, you know, to say, like, generally speaking, like, hey, these are the games that came out in this time period, you know. That's the reason why I think they don't do that. It just makes it harder to line things up, you know?
Watching that brought me back to the launch of the Switch 1 being 20 and getting my Switch 1 6 months after launch in September due to not having enough money when it launched, all the way to 2025 where I saved up into December make sure I got it at launch.
Yeah, shout outs. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. 34 on the board. Shout outs to Montana. Thank you for the $3 dono. 34 on the board. We are 11 combos away from a 45-minute extension. So yeah, shout outs, man. Appreciate that. No, sir. Sega Saturn was competing with the N64 and the PS1. Sega Saturn? Yeah, Sega Saturn was competing with the N64 and the PS1. So what? I said Sega Dreamcast wasn't. Yeah, exactly. Okay, you're not. Sega Dreamcast was competing against the. I mean, it was out during the PS1 and N64 days, and Sony was still, you know, those were the current consoles. And yeah, Dreamcast went against those, but we all knew the PS2 was coming. We all knew the GameCube was coming. We all knew the Xbox was coming. So we knew that was the real competition for Dreamcast.
I don't really care about it, but do you think Switch 2 DLSS will get better at hair and other details?
It's possible, but the problem with hair is that it takes a lot of resources. So I think that that's going to be the least of the concerns when it comes to making Switch 2 ports. They're not going to really worry too much about that, but I mean, it could for sure. Let's see here. Trust me, I say it, but I think that they might have an argument. The Switch is a hybrid. It's a home console that you can take anywhere. So what if it's a hybrid? You can still hook it up to your TV. The profiles change. They don't have a point. It's not that, I hate to say, they don't have a point. There is no point. There is no point. It's a home console that you can take on the go. It comes with an HDMI cord. It comes with a dock. You can hook it up to your TV. It comes with a controller, and you can play it just like you can play any other home console out there. You can keep it hooked up to your TV just like a home console. The profile changes. You get better graphics, higher resolution when it's hooked up to your TV compared to when it's in portable mode. They have no point. They legitimately don't. And once again, successor. That is what a generation is. A generation is the successor to it. Successor. Not because, oh, I can take it on the go. Who cares? You can take it on the go. That's irrelevant. If Sony makes a hybrid portable or hybrid thingy that can play as a home console, that would be, and they want to count that as their successor, they would. They literally don't have a point. But once again, a lot of people are stupid. And that's the unfortunate part about it. A lot of people are dumb and they don't want to just look at the facts in front of them. They don't. The Wii U was almost like a hybrid. You can literally turn off the TV and play the gamepad from a certain distance apart. Does that mean it's not a successor to the Wii? Does that mean it's not a home console? Does that mean it's a what's it called? It's a hybrid type of device, so therefore it doesn't count? It's idiotic, right? So if you just turned off your Wii U and only played it on the tablet, does that mean it's not a home console anymore? Of course it's still a home console. Of course it is. So that's the reason why I say they literally don't have a point. They don't. Yes, the Switch is a hybrid home console. Nintendo has called it a hybrid home console a bunch of times. They literally said that in the presentation. It is a hybrid home console. Why is it a hybrid home console? Because it comes with a dock. Because you can plug in an HDMI cord. Because it changed the profile. It gets stronger when you hook it up to the TV. It unlocks the clock rate. The clock rate gets higher, and the power, in terms of power of what it does, the power draw is more. So it is a hybrid home console. That's what it is. That's what it is. And once again, anybody that says differently literally is ignoring what Nintendo says to push their own opinion. Nintendo's called it a hybrid home console a million times. That's what they called it. That's what they've called it. They've called it that. They called it a hybrid home console. That's what they've called it a bunch of times. So, I mean, I don't know what you're arguing. There's no argument here. The fact that you're trying to argue that since it's a hybrid, that all of a sudden it's not in the generation of that's insane. That's ridiculous. The sales numbers, the people who count sales, say that it is a successor and in the home console market. Matt Piscatella puts it in the home console market. So now you're trying to say that even the sales and how they track it is wrong? Come on now. Let's be real here. Let's be real here. So the Switch is not a successor to the 3DS? Not really. It can be a successor to that, sure, but not really. The 3DS is a handheld only system. That's 3D. The Switch 1 is not a 3D system, and it's not a handheld only system. It can hook up to a TV, and it has separate profiles for TV play and for portable play. So, I mean, it's more of a successor to the Wii U than it is to the 3DS. And Nintendo even said that their work on the Wii U is what made them be able to make the Nintendo Switch 1. They even stated that. That's been stated in multiple Iwata asked, or the interview, like where they talked about it, where they said that the reason, the Wii U failed, but it helped us build the Nintendo Switch. I don't think the 3DS was as much of a help, because the 3DS isn't even HD, so that's one thing that it's not an HD system. The Wii U is an HD system. The Wii U and the Switch use a similar type of technology in terms of beaming to the TV, to portable, kind of like how the gamepad, it beams the image. So they did use some of the remnants of that to create it. And even if you look at, I think the Wii U itself, the Wii U just had like the prototype was 2 Wii remotes snapped onto the side. That almost can replicate what they do with the Joy-Cons. So there's way more similarities and what they used from the Wii U to the Switch than from the 3DS to the Switch. So, Switch Lite is a portable device that they just use. So the Switch Lite is a handheld system, but we're talking about the Switch and the standard Switch, not a variation or an extra model of the Switch. Switch Lite is a whole separate thing. Regular Switch, which is what most people buy, we're talking about that. We're not talking about the Switch Lite. We're talking about the regular Switch. I think Super Power Man doesn't understand the definition of hybrid. I don't think he truly understands the definition of hybrid. No handheld ship in a box with HDMI cord. But if you really wanted to make the Switch Lite hook up to your TV, you can absolutely get it to hook up to your TV. It's not too hard. It's got a USB-C thing, so you can absolutely get it to hook up to your TV if you want to. Same thing with the 3DS, but the 3DS is a lot harder to get it to hook up to the TV. And the 3DS does not accept controllers. Another telltale sign here is that the 3DS does not accept separate controllers to play on the system. So that's another problem with that. The Switch Lite, even in its own way, you can take it, you can use the Switch Lite as a TV per se and have a controller hook up to it. The 3DS, I don't think you can do that with the 3DS unless you mod it or something like that. So that's another thing that the Switch does, like having a regular controller, being able to play it and not having it just be a handheld. The 3DS predominantly is just that. The Switch Lite doesn't have to be that. If you really want to, you can turn it into a TV and you can play games with the controller on it, just like a home console, if you wanted to. 3DS, you can't do that unless you mod it, unless you do something like that. So Lite doesn't have a video out with USB. Yes, but you can tinker with it to get it to work. I don't Super Power Man, why do you keep on just asking more questions? I don't get it. You just keep on asking more questions and you ignored everything that Nintendo just said. That's the funniest thing. You ignored it. They don't have a point. There is no point with that. Once again, generations are determined by the successor, so it doesn't even matter. It's by the successor. It's not by what you think it is because it's the successor to the 3DS. That's irrelevant. It's a home console. It gets home console quality games. It gets games that are on PS5 that also run on there. 3DS games, they're not HD. Clearly the Switch one is more of a successor to the Wii U. They said as much, and you're just ignoring all of it to push your narrative. So I'm done arguing this, guys. There's no more to argue. Nintendo said it's a successor. I gave you all of the details with how they literally said that the Wii U helped them make this. The 3DS did not help them make this. The Switch. The Wii U did more to help them make it. I told you about the prototypes. I told you about all that. I told you about how they count it in the MPD. I told you about Assassin's Creed Shadows is not coming to a damn 3DS. You know, it comes to the home consoles. So there's nothing else that I have to say. I think at this point, people are just being stubborn. So I'll just let people be stubborn. Anyway, please educate these people, OJ. I'm trying to. People don't want to. Some people, Super Power Man does not want to be educated. He doesn't care, and he's just arguing with Minato Mario back and forth, like going on. So he doesn't want to be educated. They don't want to know what's happening. They don't want to know the truth with it. So what I said was the truth. But if you guys don't want to listen, or if he doesn't want, I think most of you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Most of you guys know. So they don't have a point. But I'm more than willing to debate anybody live on here about that. So if you want to bring all this points, Super Power Man, I'd more than happy to have you on because I think it'd be fun. So I'd be more than happy to have you on Discord if you think that you can argue these points about a 3DS and tell me what generation it's in and all that. I'd be more than happy to have you on. But once again, it's silly. It doesn't make any sense. But hey, whatever. I'm done too. Super Power Man always does. He doesn't always do it, but he does it when he just thinks that he's right on something. He'll go on this and he'll ignore every single other thing. Switch Lite, bro. Switch Lite is just, it's an offshoot. It is not the main thing of what a Switch is. So yeah. Let's see here. Wii and DS ran this the 7th gen. Once again, handheld systems are not in the exact same generations as home consoles. So for example, the Game Boy stretched across the NES, the Super Nintendo, the N64, and all the way up to damn near the GameCube. You know what I'm saying? Like, so handhelds are not the same thing. And I don't know why people keep on trying to equate the two as the same. They're not. Let's see here. Project India canceled 3DS successor. This was not on the NX. Yeah. Once again, the Wii U is we went over the generations. If you believe the NES is 3rd generation, then if you believe the Wii U's 8th generation, then what is the Switch? What is the Switch one? There's only one generation for it to be, if you believe that. There is no, oh, well, the 3DS, and then... No. If you believe the Wii U, which came out after the 3DS, is the 8th generation, then there's no other way to believe than the Switch is the successor to it. There's no other way. Nintendo put out the Wii U, and then as soon as the Switch came out, they stopped making games for the Wii U. When the Switch 1 was out, they still made games for the 3DS. They still made more games for the 3DS even afterwards, but they cut off games for the Wii U. I wonder why. Because the actual successor to the Nintendo Switch 1, or sorry, to the Wii U, was the Switch 1. If it was truly just the successor to both of them, they probably would have just cut off making games for the 3DS, probably, and cut off making games for the Wii U. But the 3DS was a separate thing. It's a handheld. It's a pure handheld, so The development is different. It's not in HD. That is a separate thing. The Wii U, next system out was the Switch 1. It's a successor. It's the next generation. That's it. That's it. But it's all good, man. Definition of pointless argument honestly makes no difference either way. It really doesn't. But like I said, these people will constantly, like, careful, because some of y'all will come across some of these people, bro. Trust me. They will say one thing one time, and you'll remember this discussion that we had. When you come across these people, you'll remember OJ had this pointless discussion proving what he was saying about it. So you'll remember it. So trust me, it'll help you. When the Switch 1 came out, we had these same discussion. When the Switch 1 came out, people tried to say the same thing. And a lot of people said, yo, OJ, people were trying to say this, like, what's the counter? And I said, well, this is the counter to it. You just say this. And it's an interesting, it's a fun conversation to kind of move the time, too. I mean, we don't have as much stuff to talk about today. But it's also fun to do that. Let's see. Well, now, hold up. That could be called a cross-gen period, like we're seeing with, now with the Switch 1 and the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is a clear successor to Switch 1, and it's backwards compatible, and Nintendo's clearly made that out. Once again, I personally think if the Nintendo Switch 1 was truly the successor to the 3DS, if you want to line it up that way, as it's the true successor, and they need to do that, it's the true thing, they would have taken some of those 3DS games and said, okay, we've got 3DS games, let's make them on Switch 1, or let's do them on there somehow. They didn't do that. Switch 1, Switch 2, they're like, oh yeah, we got to make sure it's going to be Switch 1 and Switch 2. This is the true successor. 3DS, they didn't do that. The architecture is completely different. The game development pipeline is completely different. And the Wii U was actually the true successor to it, to where there was a cross-gen game. Nintendo had very few cross-gen or 3DS Wii U projects, or 3DS and Switch 1. They pretty much launched nothing, dual launches or anything like that. But they had a dual launch for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. They had that on there because that's the true successor to the system. That's the true one. 3DS was something different. They didn't do, 3DS games were coming out. They didn't bother to put those on Switch 1. If they wanted to do, like, let's say like the Bowser or like the Mario RPG game. They didn't put that on Switch 1. Metroid Dread, Metroid, what was that? Metroid Samus Returns. They didn't put that on Switch 1 either. Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia. There was all sorts of games that came out in the Switch 1 era, 3DS games. Guys, stop calling Superpower Man names because he has a difference of opinion, you know? By the way, OJ, do you think following the right path of putting Japan studio IP Switch and PC, I think it's switched for PS Fan years ago, is impossible? I don't know. Sony's gonna do whatever they want. I think these games are pretty much dead, so you might as well put them out on multiple platforms if you're not gonna do anything with them. If they're dead, if the IPs are dead. Switch is a successor to both, and that's fine. If you want to say that it's a successor to both, but since it's a successor to Wii U, that means it follows in the gen path of what the Wii U was. Plain and simple. It doesn't retrofit to the weaker system that came out before the Wii U. The Wii U came out after the Nintendo 3DS. So that's fine. If you want to count it that way, that's fine. You can count it that way, but the Wii U was still after the 3DS. So it's the most recent thing was the Wii U, not the 3DS. So no matter which way you want to slice it, it doesn't really matter. The Wii U was the newer technology, and they were building off of that from HD gaming, from portable gaming on the TV and on the go, or a portable unit. That's what the idea of the Switch 1 was. The Switch 1, or sorry, the Wii U. The Wii U was a really ghetto Switch 1, essentially. At the end of the day, that's really what it was. Because that was the concept. Hey, I can play a game on the TV, I can play a game on this little portable unit, and it's the same game. I don't have to play any type of weird game or weird transfer process. It's instant. I can instantly play on my TV. I can instantly play here. That's what the Switch 1, that's what the Wii U tried to do, and it didn't do it. It did it, but it didn't do it the way that the Switch 1 did it. So that's really what it came down to. And Nintendo's already detailed this, you know, so. Yeah. You're not the bad guy, Superpower Man. You're not the bad guy. You were just trying to say they have a point that it's not in the same gen because it's not a successor. That's what you were trying to. That's what you were. That's the only thing that I argued against. I'm like, no, they don't have a point. Just people are being dumb when it comes to that. If the Wii U had been a success, would we have gotten the Wii U 2? If the Wii U was a success, I still think we would have got the Switch, but we would have got the Switch maybe a little bit later, and the specs would be different. Like the Switch 1 would probably be a stronger device because it would have been made a little bit later down the line. So I would see it somewhere probably between the Switch 1 and the Switch 2, and if we might still be on the Switch 1 era. If the Wii U was a success, I think things would have been delayed just a little bit, maybe a year or two. Like once again, I'm just guessing though, I don't know for sure. But I'm guessing that if the Wii U was successful, they probably go like, it depends on how successful, like how many units are we talking about here. But if the Wii U was, let's just say as successful as the Wii. Let's just say that it had a run like the Wii had. So about 3 to 4 years of dominance and then falling off towards the end, right? Because there was about a 6-year gap between the Wii and the Wii U. So let's just say it's going to be about a 6-year gap. So essentially what we'd get is that we'd probably get the Switch 1 that probably would have been released around 2018 or 2019. And it probably would have been a little, it would have been a bit stronger. So right now we're in 2026. So I'm guessing we'd be, instead of the Switch 2 coming out in 2025, it probably would have been coming out either this year or next year, and it would have been a bit stronger than what we have right now. But another problem is the RAM crisis still would have been a thing. Maybe not. Nintendo was eating up RAM, but not that much RAM with the Switch 1. So it's hard to tell what pyramids would have fell. But just going off of what we know, I mean, it would have been a disaster. I think because if the RAM prices is how they are now, like if everything still happens, the Switch, the new Switch 2 would have been way more expensive than $450. It would have been more expensive. It would have probably been more than that. And then like the whole RAM situation, right? Like, so I don't know what would have happened. But I'm guessing if you just delay things, like let's just say 6 years, then yeah, but then we get the Switch 1 in 2018. We get the Switch 2 in, it would be this year. It would be 2026 instead of 2025. Says now the way the RAM is probably would have came out late last year. I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's hard to really tell what would have happened. Once again, when you listen, guys, it's impossible to gauge logistics of what would have happened if something was successful. It's almost impossible to say what would have happened. We don't know what would have happened, you know?
Here's the definitive end. I sent you on Discord the Wayback snapshot of Nintendo's website to show it replaced the Wii U the most.
Yeah, okay, well let's take a look at that, right? Which once again, Nintendo said that in their briefing, but you know, we can take a look at that too. Let's see here. According to Kimishima, that was some people at Nintendo thought the Wii U was gonna sell 100 million. Yeah. That's the thing though. Everyone was okay, hold up. Okay, so we got a web archive here. So the web archive okay, yeah, so the choose your style of play. So then they show the it replaced the Wii U. It did not replace the 3DS. So the Wayback Machine. Gotta love the Wayback Machine. So yeah, they show the Wii U used to be here and it was no longer here. It was the 3DS, obviously the 2DS. Oh man, look at those prices, man. Those were the good old days. Look at, oh my gosh, look at these prices. Look at this. This is the old school. This is old school, man. Old school. So yeah, there you go. There's also that. If handled properly, Wii U could have did about 54 to 60 million-ish. 54 to 60 million? Oh man, you know, like I said, it's hard to tell, man. It's hard to tell how well it would have done or not. If it would have been handled a different way. Like if they handled the marketing better, I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe it could have done more than that. Maybe it could have done as good as the Wii. I don't know. So it's like I said, it's hard to really tell what would have happened and all of that, you know? It's just hard. But I heard mobile RAM wasn't affecting the AI crisis. Mobile RAM is RAM. So Nintendo Switch 2 uses RAM just like any other source of RAM when it comes down to that. So I'm not sure what you're talking about, but no, RAM is RAM, and all of the RAM prices are affected, as Bloomberg and other people have stated. Of course, like RAM is, it's not like, oh, well, Nintendo uses this RAM, so therefore they're not affected. No, they're affected. Everybody's affected that uses RAM. Everybody is. Just like Steam Deck. Steam Deck's affected by the RAM. That's a portable system. Like, ROG Ally's affected by RAM. That's a portable system. They're also affected by RAM too. So, but why do people think PS and Nintendo have to sell 10 to 20 million in order to be successful? Dude, Ocarina of Time sold 7.5 million in 16 years. Gran Turismo 1 and 2 sold 10 million in many years. Well, no, I don't think you need to sell 10 to 20 million to be successful. Nobody actually thinks that. I mean, like, depends on what the franchise is, but I mean, if you can sell, like, if it's, you know, Fire Emblem, and if that sells 3-4 million units, that's good, you know? No, not every PS or Xbox or PS or Nintendo exclusive needs to sell 10 million in order to be successful. No, absolutely not. There's plenty of, like, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, people widely see that as a success, and that sold under 10 million. So no, not necessarily. But people just have expectations for like a Mario or Zelda game. Yeah, Mario sold 30 million on the Switch 1. It sold 10 million on the Wii. It sold, you know, it sold a lot. So obviously the expectations for a Mario game are going to be higher than other games. Despite the price raise for the Switch 2, I don't think it'll be as bad as what we are seeing Elson Gaming plus Switch 2 as the cause. Well, there's no price increase yet, so we have to also make sure that we let that be known. That's why I put a question mark afterward. There's no price increase yet, guys. I mean, there could be one, but there's no price increase just yet. So not yet. There's no price increase. Let's see. It exactly depends on the budget. I mean, if they're working on a game for like Tears of the Kingdom, right? That's a game that they've been working on for like 5-6 years. Then obviously that needs to sell a certain amount. But the thing about Nintendo games, which is cool, is that Nintendo games, they don't, in my opinion, they don't use the top of the line budgets for their games. Now, don't get me wrong. They're expensive because you have marketing, you have to, you know, make the game, you have to pay the developers. The developers at Nintendo get paid very well. So people think that it's all about graphics that makes a game be a certain price. And yes, that's true to a degree, but it's not the only thing. If you have a big game from developers and you have 100, 200, 300 developers on there, what you pay them affects the development cost. So if you're developing a game in, like, let's just say Brazil, and the average price of a developer in Brazil is, let's just say, $30,000, and you're making a game. In Japan, when it comes to Nintendo's employees, it's like 80,000, you know? So it's a very different cost of developing that, and let's just say they both do the same job. Obviously they can't, but let's just say they did. So the cost of development is going to be higher depending on the development, depending on how much you pay the employees. So you also have to factor that in too. It's not just graphics and stuff. Now, obviously, the more graphics, the more intense the game is, the more developers you're going to have to be working on it because of various different things you need to do. But a lot of Nintendo's games need to be play tested, need to have a lot of ideas. They have a good amount of people on it. A lot of Nintendo's biggest games. And then plus you have the QA, you have localization. There's a lot of things that go into it. So the games are expensive. But Nintendo might not do, you know, obviously like the 1,000-man development team, like Assassin's Creed game or something like that. Yeah, they're not spending that type of money. You know, Vito with the $2 says Wii U might have sold more if they called it Wii 2. You know what? Maybe, but I think it might have. But I think the software, the biggest reason why Switch or Wii U didn't sell was because of marketing and software. Like the name, sure, but how they marketed it from the very beginning was a problem. And then on top of that, the games. People talk about Switch 2 not having enough. Bro, Nintendo released New Super Mario Bros. U, which is just kind of like a rehab. I mean, it's a good game, but it's just okay. It's the new Super Mario Bros. And then they released what was it? Nintendo Land. So they released Nintendo Land, and they released 2 games. They didn't have another first-party game until summer of the following year. That was the real killer for the Wii U. The real killer for the Wii U, on top of the marketing and the name or whatever, that name is marketing, was the fact that they waited 8 months, 7 months for another game.
People keep acting like Switch 2 and Wii U or anything close to similar because no new 3D Mario for a bit and perceived weak launch lineup. TF does it take for these people to realize they live in their own version of reality with statements like that?
Well, most people, in my opinion, actually think that the launch lineup was really good. In my opinion. From the people that I spoke with IRL, and from looking at it from a comparing the games, most people think the launch lineup was actually really good and better than what Nintendo usually has. So that's my opinion, at least. I'm looking at it from the games, from a first and third party standpoint. The first, let's just say half year or 6 months or something, that's definitely been the best that Nintendo's ever done. I don't think that you can look back from a first and third party standpoint and say, yeah, Nintendo had a better first, launch window than the Switch 2. There's not a single system from a first and third party. And if you want to talk about just first party, sure, you can talk about GameCube, you can talk about other systems. You had Melee, you had Luigi's Mansion. You had some pretty good stuff, right? When it comes to that. You can talk about the Wii. You had Twilight Princess, you had Wii Sports, that was great, but then there was a big drought. You had what was that Excite Truck or something. But if you factor in first and third party, the launch lineup, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the Switch 2 was the best that Nintendo's ever done. Thank you for the $3 though, I appreciate that. Shout outs to Straw Hat Monty. And thank you for the $2 from Dan Dips. What was the very first Wii U trailer shown? The gamepad. They showed the system, but they focused too much on the gamepad. So they focused too much on the gamepad, and that caused people to think that it was just like a controller. They did not show the system and convey enough. And then, like I said, another problem was the third-party support. Another problem was the first-party games. Nintendo, there was a stretch between like December and July that there was barely any games coming out, man. Like, there was no excitement. There was no new games. There was just a couple third-party games here and there. And for the most part, man, it was just empty. There was just nothing. They had, like I said, they had Monster Hunter. They had a few, they had Lego City. They had Need for Speed. They had a few games, but dude, compared to now where it's like, oh, we're getting Resident Evil. Oh, we're getting Monster Hunter Stories 3. Oh, we're getting Pragmata. Oh, we're getting Digimon. Oh, we're getting Grand Blue. Oh, we're getting like Boom Boom. Like, there's all these games that are coming out that have release dates and it's like coming out, right? Like, it's a completely different thing. Back then, it was like, bro, we were like begging. We were like begging and creating conspiracy theories in our head why third-party developers wouldn't release a damn thing on the Wii U system. It was rough, man. It was rough. So anybody that lived through that era, that lived through the era of the Wii where, yeah, it was great at launch, but there was a big droughts up until the following year, or even the GameCube to a degree, droughts. GameCube was a little bit better, but there were some droughts. And then like the N64 launched with 2 games. It launched like with Quest and Mario 64. Like, it launched with damn near nothing, and there was massive droughts with the N64. So if you lived through all of those eras, you know that the Switch 2 era here is significantly better than the Switch 1 and the Switch 2 are significantly better for a release lineup, like a release flow of games, than any other Nintendo system in the history of like systems. Like, you could maybe point to the Super Nintendo, but really, first and third party wise, this is the best that we've ever had it. Like, releasing games. It's like, it's not even close. It's not even close. So a lot of people don't care about third party. Look at the best selling games on Switch. A lot of people care about third party though. A lot of people do care about third party. Doesn't matter about the best selling. A lot of people, you need third-party games. In order to sell your system, you need third-party games. And third-party games sell well. Minecraft sells incredible. Monster Hunter Rise sold incredible. That outsold first-party games for Nintendo. So absolutely, you need first-party games, man. You need them. And you need them to do well. Not only that, so a lot of people do care about third-party games, as we saw on the Switch 1. Nintendo sold 1.5 billion pieces of software on the Switch 1. Most of the games sold on the Switch 1 were third-party games. Sure, a big chunk of the games were first-party in terms of success ratio, in terms of sales, but overall, the majority of games sold on the Nintendo Switch 1, the large majority, are third-party games. 1.5 billion plus pieces of software, most of that is third-party. The large majority is third-party games. So no, you need third-party in order for your system to be successful. Nintendo most successful systems of all time all have a lot of third-party support. Look at the NES. The NES had a ton of third-party support. People bought third-party games all the time on the NES. Look at the Super Nintendo. People bought third-party games on the Super Nintendo. Look at the DS. Third-party games sold on the DS. Look at the Wii. The Wii had third-party games. I mean, a lot of them were trash, but it still had a lot of third-party games, and it had games that people bought. So no, you need third-party too. And third-party did incredibly well on the Switch 1. The sales numbers are there. Nintendo did not sell 1.5 billion. Nintendo did not sell the majority of the 1.5 billion units of software sold. That was not a majority of Nintendo. The biggest chunk of percentage, yes, to any one publisher, Nintendo. But the amount of the games itself, third-party. The large majority is third-party games. You need both. Don't get me wrong. First-party is super important. You need that. But a lot of people like to buy third-party games too. You need them. And strictly from a business perspective, and this is why I know you don't know anything about this, Felipe. You don't have a damn clue about business. But from a business perspective, Nintendo gets a 30% cut on every single third-party game sold. So if you're Nintendo, it's very important to have third-party games and to sell third-party games, because you get a 30% cut on every single thing. Just like YouTube loves super chats. You think YouTube loves YouTube? You know why YouTube loves super chats? Because they're just like Nintendo in a way. They get 30% of everybody that drops a super chat. So of course they're not gonna be like, oh well, nobody cares about super chats because you have memberships or you have no, they care. Trust me, they care because they get a 30% cut. Just like Valve cares, just like Sony cares, just like Microsoft cares. They all care because they get their 30%. Well, Microsoft might not care as much these days anymore, but they're becoming a third party, so they just want to make more money. But Sony, Valve, they own their own platform. Valve, they get their 30% cut. Nintendo gets their 30% cut. Sony gets their 30% cut. So they absolutely care because Nintendo can't release games fast enough in order to make the type of money that they want to make as a publicly traded company. They just can't. They need third party from their side of view. They need it. That's why they're pushing third party so hard, because they need it. They need it to sell. Yeah, they would never even get to 1.5 billion without the third party. They desperately need that. So from a Nintendo's perspective, absolutely, it's required. And I think from a gamer perspective, yes, you want those third party. Is it going to be the most important thing to you? No, but you don't want to go back to the Wii U era, bruh. We saw what happened when third parties completely abandoned Nintendo. How'd it work out for the Wii U? Yes, there was other things, but how'd that work out? It didn't work out so hot. Nintendo only sold a pitiful 100 million units of software. That's terrible. That is terrible. That is not sustainable for a business. In today's day, with the salaries that Nintendo pays, or you're gonna have to cut people's salaries, nobody's gonna want to work at Nintendo. It's gonna become a trash. It's not gonna work. Nintendo can't do that where they have no third-party software. People need to buy and play third-party software on Nintendo Switch too. Like, it needs to be a thing. So yes, sure, people don't care about it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. All that matters is the results, and the results, they need people buying third-party software, plain and simple. So that's what it comes down to. 16 of the top 30 games on Switch 2 eShop are third-party. Enough said. Yeah, like, you need it because Nintendo's not going to be able to release games fast enough. They're just not, So Look at this, guys. This is not good. This is what happens when you have zero third party. This is what happens. You only sell 103 million units. I mean, not a bad ratio when it comes to console to game sales, but this, Nintendo's pulling their hair out. Look at this, guys. This is pitiful. Look at this. 1.5 billion. That's what you want. Look how much more. They're a publicly traded company. This was not all first party. This was third party. Most of this was third party too. Actually, a lot of it was first party with this, but most of this was third party. Look at this. The 3DS smoked it. Sold triple. Look at the Wii. The Wii sold 921. Look at the DS. Look at this. They sold nearly 1 billion. 900 million plus for the Wii and the DS. You think Nintendo ever wants to go back to this? These two systems had third-party support. Look at this. Look at the Game Boy Advance, bro. The Game Boy Advance smoked the Wii U. That was too long ago. Look at the Game Boy. 501 million. Half a billion. 500 million. Look at the damn GameCube, bro. The damn GameCube did double. The GameCube had better third-party support than the Wii U. It did double. It literally did double. What the freaking Wii? The GameCube. The GameCube. The N64. The N64 barely had any games that released for it, and it did more than double. Dude, we got it. The damn NES, 500 million. The Super Nintendo, 379 million. What the hell? You do never want to go back to this. That's what happens when you have no third-party support. All of these systems had way better third-party support. Well, maybe not the N64. But actually, I think the N64 actually did have better third-party support. Actually, wait a minute. The N64 did have better third-party support. It might have had better third-party support, even though there wasn't that many games that came out for it. But I think the N64 might have had third-party support. It might have had more third-party support. The Wii U was pitiful, bro. I mean, the Wii U had indies. But this is bad. This is bad. This is what happens when you don't have third-party support and you sell no systems, bro. This is bad, bro. This is not good. You got systems decades old smoking it. How do you get outsold by the N64? Software-wise. Dude, what? The GameCube? What? These systems don't have online storefronts, dude. These systems don't, I repeat, these systems don't have online storefronts. They don't have all, I mean, like the 64 kind of, like the 64 DDs, but that wasn't released everywhere. That doesn't count. You couldn't download games online. This counts digital software. Like, this counts digital software. This counts digital software. This counts digital software. All this counts, if the system had a digital software, it counted it. These systems don't have digital software or indie developers making a bunch of games on there. And they still sold double what the Wii U sold. This is pitiful. This is really bad. Anyway, shout out to George FT with the $10 dono. Let's go. Which I find funny is that people scoff at third-party ports coming to Switch 2. More games benefits Nintendo and third parties and us ultimately. Absolutely. So absolutely, man. Absolutely. Nobody buys Switch 2 for third parties, the biggest myth in gaming culture. Yes, first party may be the driving force, but nearly everyone also plays third party and value the hybrid handheld advantage. Absolutely. Shout outs to George FT, man. Thank you for the $10. He's got it right too, man. The more games that come out benefits us, but no, people definitely buy. People were definitely sold on the Switch 2 that you can take a game like Cyberpunk anywhere, and then you can also get your Nintendo first party games. Like, that's important, man. Like, it's super important. There's people that said Nintendo should go back to how they were in the Wii U days. Absolutely not. Absolutely not, bro. Like 103 million pieces of software. That is just so bad. That nobody was making games. Nobody was making games for the Wii U, man. Nobody was making games. That is not good, dude. Thank God for third-party support, man. That's how I stay sane with Mario. Mario has multiple releases in 1 year. Yeah. I mean, for me personally, guys, like when the Wii, y'all making me relive trauma. Stop it. Every single Japanese game that came out. Is that for Wii U? No. Is that for Wii U? No. Is that for Wii U? No. You got God Eater. You got all these games coming out. You got all these Japanese games coming out for the freaking 3DS or for the Vita, for the PS3, for the PS4, and none of them came out on the Wii U. None of them came out on the Wii U. This was hell. This was, you guys don't understand, you Nintendo Land watchers or Grift, you guys do not understand how bad things were. You guys don't. That partner showcase, if they released that in the Wii U era, people, if we had that same partner showcase in the Wii U era, I don't even want to, people would be, I can't even formulate the words right now. I can't even, because games were so sparse in the Wii U era. And the 3DS didn't get, you know, console level games. It didn't get the big console level games. And it was weaker than the PS Vita. So a lot of times it didn't even get what PS Vita got. So it didn't even get what PS Vita got. It didn't get what PS3 got. It didn't get what any of the systems got. 3DS was just like a separate thing that got Nintendo games and some third party here and there, but a lot of third parties just abandoned the system. They just abandoned it. There was not, like, Digimon didn't, like, the Digimon Cyber Sleuth and stuff that came out on PS Vita and all that, and, like, games that came out on PS Vita that were, like, cross, like, with PS3 or cross, like, with PS4, a lot of those games did not come out on 3DS. They did not come out on Wii U. But if the Wii U got a showcase like that, where you got a game the quality of, like, Digimon, Time Stranger, you got Grand Blue, you got all of these, like, action RPGs and all of these third-party games that were coming, I'm telling you, people would have been like, oh my gosh, look at all this third-party support. It's incredible. You know? Y'all making me relive these moments where literally I'm playing, shout outs to the developer, man. He did it. I'm playing a game called Block Drop U. Bro! I'm playing a game called Block, that is what don't make me, y'all gonna make me look up me playing Block, that's what I had to play, the third-party game, bro. Block Drop U. Is it on this channel? Or is it on my other channel? Block Drop. Oh no, it's not here. Man. I'll show you guys the game. That's what I'm streaming Block Drop U. Block Drop U. This is what I'm playing, bro. This is what we had to, this is what, we didn't get games like Digimon Time Stranger. We didn't get Grand Blue Fantasy Relink Endless Ragnarok. We didn't get Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We didn't get FF7 Remake Integrate. We didn't get Monster Hunter Stories 3. We didn't get Resident Evil 9. We didn't get Pragmata. We got this. I didn't even know how to play this game. The developer gave me a review code, and I was like, yeah, I'll play it. What year did this game, when did this come out? Oh, you did this a year ago? This is what I was playing, bro. This is the third-party support. Wii U eShop. Block Drop U. 11 years ago? Yeah, 2014. Was this 2014 when this game came out? I don't remember when the game came out exactly. Okay, yeah, 2014. It was 2014. This is what we were playing in 2014, bro. This is the third. This is not the system came out in 2012. This is 2014. We're playing Block Drop U, bro. I can't. Sorry, I can't feel any type of way about people saying third-party support. Don't make us go back to the Dark Ages. Don't make us go back to the Dark Ages, bro. Where Block Drop U was a game that I decided to stream. I streamed that. I think it was on my old channel. Might have been on my old channel. No, it has to be on this new channel. 2014. It has to be on my new channel, but whatever. Yeah, Snake Pass, bruh. Like, this is what we're dealing with, man. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with that. Did the Wii U make you contemplate mobile gaming? The Wii U made me contemplate getting a Steam machine. That's how... Not the new Steam machines. The ones that are good, like from Valve, that are or will probably be good because, you know, it's just going to be like 2 configurations. The old Steam machines. The ones that were made from like different manufacturers. Like, it contemplated me getting a Steam machine. Even though I had a PS3, I had a 360 at the time, and I was going to get it. I got a PS4 later. I got an Xbox One later. But at the time, because like the Wii U, you know, came out, I didn't have a PS4 until 2015. I bought a PS4 in 2015. Like The Last of Us, was it 2014? It was one of those two, 2014 or I don't remember. I bought it one of those years. But anyway, I had a Wii U, I had a PS3, I had a 360, and I had all my old systems. But it contemplated me buying a freaking Steam machine, the old Steam machines. I made a video on it long ago. Maybe you guys can go find it, where I talked about the Steam machine. And like, oh, maybe I'll buy one of these because like they released the specs, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll get one of these. Bro, third-party support was so bad. Let's not ever get back to that, man. I don't ever want to hear anybody say third-party support's not important. Isn't it as important as first-party? No, of course it's not. But is it still important? Yes, it's like super important, dude. So in the Switch 2 era, we get games like Hades. We get games like Hollow Knight Silksong. We get top of the line indie games, top of the line premium quality indie games for good prices. You can pick up Silksong and you can pick up a Hades 2 for $50 total. This is what we're dealing with now, bro. We're getting top of the line quality games plus first party plus big third party games. Listen, it's not perfect. Switch 2 is not perfect. Switch 1 wasn't perfect. But let's not go back to that era. Okay? Please. Please.
The Wii U made me think about giving up gaming and just fishing. Lol.
Yeah. Thank you for the $3, Justin. I appreciate that. Shout out to Deported with the 5 as well. And he says, OJ, just tell Nintendo not to raise the price. Problem solved. Yeah, you know what? It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that, man. It really is that simple. Oh my gosh, it's as simple as that, man. Just tell them to just not raise it. Let's go. Thank you guys for the support, man. I appreciate it. I don't regret missing the Wii U. I was going to get one, but Wii U was already nosediving. Yeah, and pretty much all the best games on the Wii U came out on the Switch 1. So you don't even really need to. I mean, like you didn't really miss it. All you missed was misery online. If you were online, you think it's bad now with grifters? Bro, at least now you can say, huh, don't bother me, I'm playing video games. Oh, I can play Metroid Prime, I can play Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment. I mean, Wii U did get Hyrule Warriors, but Age of Imprisoment's better than the other Hyrule Warriors games. I can play Pokemon Legends, I can play those in 60 FPS, I can play Kirby Air Riders, I can play Mario Kart World, like, I can play all this stuff, right? Within the first 6 months, I can play Donkey Kong Bonanza, I can play all these cool games, right? You can at least say that. You can say, oh, well, I can play Pragmata, or I can play Resident Evil, or I can play Assassin's Creed, or I can play Star Wars Outlaws, or I can play Street Fighter 6, or I can play Cyberpunk. Like I said, doesn't have everything, but it's got a lot. Or I can play, you know, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, or I can play Rebirth later, or I can play Grand Blue, or I can play this, I can play that. There's like a bazillion different options to pick from. Trust me, there were not a bazillion different options to pick from with the Wii U. When you say no third-party support. And I'm only going on this because it's fun to go on it, not because I'm trying to harp on Felipe. I'm just going on it because it's fun. It's fun to do it. And I want to give you guys a contrast of how bad it was in the Wii U era. Trust me, it was like Fallout. It was hell, bro. It was like a nuclear waste. It was terrible. It was terrible. You guys know how bad it is with, like for example, Sony had a presentation. And how many of those games were announced for the Switch 2 or Switch 1? When they did presentations back then, nothing was announced for the Wii U. Nothing! Sony just did a presentation, and a number of those games, Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania, a lot of the games revealed that are coming to Switch 1 and Switch 2, or whatever, right? Not all, a lot of them aren't. But there was enough, dude, trust me, the presentations back then, nothing came to Wii U. There'd be a presentation for like a third party, and it'd be like, no Wii U. Nothing. No 3DS, no Wii U, no anything. That's what it was like or Microsoft, right? They'd have a presentation, nothing. It would just be nothing. Trust me, I was there. And people would just be like, what's going on here? What's going on here? People ask for Bethesda games. Hey, can you put Bethesda on the Wii U? You know what Pete Hines, squareheads, guile-looking self said? No! If Nintendo wants us to have their games on there, they gotta do what Microsoft and Sony does. They gotta let us know beforehand. And he was absolutely right. Nintendo botched the generation. They botched it. Okay? But now people are like, oh, Bethesda games. Oh. Now people, that's what I'm saying. People were crying that there's no Bethesda games on the Wii U. Now you get Bethesda games and it's like, oh, Bethesda. Oh. That's how spoiled we are. And I kid you not. I am not exaggerating. This happened. The videos are there. They're all there. They're there on my old channel. They're there. You can look up. I even remember when it happened. It was the bonus round 2012 or 2013 with Jeff Keighley and Pete Hines. Pete Hines was the former marketing exec guy for Bethesda. And he flat out said it on the show when Jeff Keighley asked him about the Wii U. And people were upset. That's what caused me to make a video about a Wii U third-party conspiracy that they were trying to not put. Like, that's what people were, because that's how, like I said, we were so upset. That's why I said, man, y'all tripping. Like, to actually have Bethesda games now, to have Fallout, to have Oblivion, Wii U never got this stuff. People were begging for this stuff on the Wii U. People were begging for it. Now you're getting it in spades in the first year? Crazy how things have changed, man. That's why I don't really put down some of these big AAA games or Bethesda type. Like, they're not for me anymore. But bro, I remember what people were saying in the Wii U days. They were like, where's Fallout? Where's Fallout 3? That's a 360 PS3 game. Why don't you put that on the Wii U? Nope. But what about Skyrim? Put that on the Wii U. Nope. They just said, nope, not gonna do it. Those days sucked, man. Those days sucked. It sucked. Dookie. It's bad. And I know I sound crazy right now, but trust me. Trust me. The stuff that I'm saying, if people in the Wii U era could peek into the future and see the third-party support, they would have been like, what? Because literally nobody made AAA games on the Wii U after like the first few months. After the first, like, it dried up within a year. Within a year or so, it completely dried up. Bro, indie developers were even like, no. Like, indie developers were even like not putting games on the Wii U. Even indie developers were like, yeah, we don't want to do that. Like, bro. Oh my gosh, man. See, I was like going through it was like the Great Depression, bro. It was bad. It was bad. Where you did get Call of Duty, two of them just saying it. Yeah, it got Call of Duty. I agree. It did get that. But after, guess what? After 2013's Call of Duty Ghosts, what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened, bro? What happened after Call of Duty Ghosts? I'll tell you what happened. Blackout. God. Non-existent. Blackout. Gone. Done. Cooked. Finished. They abandoned it. Switch 2 is going to have Call of Duty for the next 10 years. Pretty much. It's going to have way more Call of Duty games than the Wii U had. I can tell you that. Because some people think it's too little late now these days, Nintendo getting a lot of third-party support. Nah, it's not too late, man. It's just starting up. Bro, if you were to tell people, okay, If you were to tell people, even about key cards, back then on the Wii U day, they probably would have said, I don't care. They would have said, well, I care, but give me the games instead. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, a lot of these are going to be key cards. Don't get me wrong. But maybe some of them are. Indiana Jones, you know, that's not a key card. More games are becoming on physical. So we're starting to see more games on physical now. But it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter. But I'd rather have them and have the option than not have the option at all. I don't care if it's a key card. If it's like between not getting it at all and key card, I'll take the key card, you know? I'll take that over not getting a game at all, you know? So not my game playing a gong when the screen went black. Oh man, those days at the end of the Wii era and into the Wii U, honestly was thinking of switching to Xbox and stop gaming completely. I never felt like I was gonna stop gaming completely because I love gaming too much. So I never felt like it was gonna be like, oh well, I'm never gonna play games again or I'm not gonna play. But I'll be honest, man, I did feel like I felt some type of way. But I mean, I still had my 360, I still had my PS3. I pretty much, I wouldn't say I switched. I mean, I might have, but whenever the Wii U did release a banger, I played it. That was the thing about Wii U. The third party was terrible, but out of like a failed system, the Wii U, I probably had the most fun with the failed system since the Dreamcast days. Usually when a system fails or doesn't do well, it's pretty miserable throughout the whole thing. And the Wii U was miserable, don't get me wrong, third party wise. But first party game stuff, there was some cool stuff once they got going. 2014 in particular was great because from 2013 to 2014, the end, we got, and I'll get that done in just a bit. We got Super Mario 3D World. We got Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. We got Bayonetta 2. We got what else did we get? We got Super Smash Brothers. And we got like a couple other games. So we got like I think we got Hyrule Warriors. We got like 4 or 5 really good games in 2014. That like, wow, this is great, you know, like, and I was playing like my Wii U a lot. So like it was not great, but like it was there. And the funniest thing about the Wii U, let me get the $2. So dude, exactly. At least the games are here. Exactly. At least the games are here. Thank you for the $2 dono, quiet line. And here's the thing, guys. Here's another thing. Like the Wii U's lifespan was so pitiful. It was like 2012 it launched. 2013 we were waiting for the games to come out. They finally came out towards the end of the year. Pikmin 3, Wonderful 101, what else? Sonic Lost World, Super Mario 3D World, like Legend of Zelda, Wind Waker. So we got some games at the end of 2013. So that was actually pretty good. So from the end of 2013, mid to the end of 2013, all the way through to the end of 2014 was good. That was a good period for the Wii U. It had about 1.5 years of really like, oh my god, there's some life in this system. And that's when it sold best. It sold best pretty much in that time period. And then after that, they pretty much gave up on. They pretty much gave up on the Wii U. After 2014, they gave up on the Wii U. I mean, we got some good stuff. We got Xenoblade Chronicles. We got Tokyo Mirage Sessions afterwards. We got Twilight Princess. We got Pokken Tournament. There was some good stuff. But they already had moved on. They had already said that, hey, look, we're moving on. And I think they moved a lot of games. They moved Breath of the Wild over to the Switch one. They moved Odyssey over to the Switch one. They moved all the games they were working on. They moved them all over to the Switch one. Splatoon 2, they moved that to the Switch one. Even though Splatoon 2, or Splatoon 1 came out in 2015, but whatever, right? So, yeah, it sucked. Best Wii exclusive ever. Meme run. LLJK. Yeah, meme run. What sucked with the Wii U was after 2014, the year it felt like it was hitting its stride, went back downhill, and Nintendo already announced the NX. Yep, in early 2015 they already announced the NX. So, yep, it was great, but 2014 was awesome. Mid 2013 to the end of 2014 was incredible. That was like awesome time, you know. And then after that, it just like it was like, okay, yeah, they moved on, they're done. Hey, with the $5, is playing through Far Cry 3 for the first time. What happened to Ubisoft? That weed level is amazing. Probably my favorite mission in the Ubisoft game. What happened to Ubisoft? I'm not sure. They just, I don't know. They kept on making the same game over and over and over. I don't know. They didn't have enough innovation in their games. Something like that. I don't really play Ubisoft games like that, so I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, Splatoon was born from the Wii U, so that was good. That was good. Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD, Star Fox Zero, pretty good games. I mean, Star Fox Zero is not the best game, but it's all right once you get the hang of the controls. Yeah, but once again, that was in 2016. Wind Waker HD, that was in 2013. But Twilight Princess, that was in 2016, so that was 3 years apart from each other. And then Star Fox, I think, was 2015 for Star Fox. So, like I said, the middle of 2013 to the end of 2014 was really good, and I was confident that Nintendo could rebound. What I said Nintendo should do is that they should drop the gamepad and make it optional and charge about $200 to $250 for the system. I think if you do that, you can get right back into it. But Nintendo said, we have other plans. And obviously, it was the right call. Like, I don't think it'd be a good idea to try to bang your head against the wall for the Wii U for years on end. And like, you don't know if it's going to work or not. Like, so I get why they moved on. And I get why they said, hey, look, we're going to put out this amount of games and we're going to move on at this point. It made sense, you know. It made sense. I really love the Wii U when it actually got a banger between, I leaned to the 3DS hard Fire Emblem, Shin Megami Tensei, Zelda, Link Between Worlds, I was going hard. Yes, I played the 3DS as much, if not way more than my Wii U. I bought a lot of games for my 3DS as well. So yes, I did lean into the 3DS a lot in that generation. So I played a lot of 3DS too. Yep. Do you think Star Fox Zero will finally launch a Switch port? I think at some point they'll release Star Fox Zero for the Switch or Switch 2. Yeah, at some point they will. I don't know when they're going to do it, but they'll do it at some point. So, we'll see. Okay, my son also thinks that they'll see too. He's like, right by my door. I think the majority are impatient. And there are some of us that are impatient, but I agree that it's never too late because Switch 2 came out just last year. It's just the beginning. Oh yeah, it's just the beginning. Yeah, a lot of content creators are impatient because once again they don't really like games. They just like Mario and Zelda. So some of them are impatient because they're not getting their Mario or Zelda right away, and that's all they really like. Now for those who actually like a variety of different types of games, it's fine, and we know that what's going to happen, right? But a lot of content creators just, once again, they're just looking for Mario or Zelda, so they're upset about that, and that's fine too, you know. But they're going to get that. Obviously, Nintendo's going to have a new Mario or Zelda game at some point, so. The N64 was a fun time, but it was one flaw with it. The controller stick would easily snap off. All right, yeah, that's fine. The N64 was a long time ago, but yeah, I mean, if you were playing a game like Mario Party, you got to be careful. That can analog stick can snap right off. So, yep, that was a thing. The DS and 3DS have really good libraries. They do have really good libraries. The problem with the DS and 3DS was there was sometimes that I wanted to play on the TV just for like comfort purposes, and I couldn't. So even back then, I was asking, "Where's the DS player? Where's the 3DS player?" Because like Nintendo used to do that. They used to make it to where you can play your Game Boy games on the TV with the Super Game Boy. So it was like the Switch before the Switch. You needed both systems, or it was like the PS Portal before the PS Portal, or something like that, right? You needed all this. You needed. Well, no, you actually didn't need the other system. That's the cool thing about Super Game Boy. Super Game Boy, you didn't need the Game Boy. You just needed the cartridge, and you needed a Super Nintendo. That's all you needed, and you can play the vast amounts of Game Boy games on your TV. Same thing goes for the GBA player. You didn't need the GBA. If you wanted to play GBA games on your TV, you could. All you had to do was put the GBA player in the bottom of the GameCube, and you can play your games on the TV. So that was awesome. So when the DS came out, I was like, oh yeah, they're going to put out a DS player for the Wii. They never did. And then when the 3DS came out and the Wii U, I was like, oh, they're going to make a 3DS player for the Wii U. They never did. So that was the thing. The N64, I already read that. Shout out 91 Gamer Boy. People also called the Switch the Breath of the Wild Zelda machine at launch. They did, because all they released was Breath of the Wild. So, but it was a little bit. Mario Kart 8 came out the next month, but people are like, oh, I already have that on Wii U, and it's like, dude, yeah, we know, but nobody has a Wii U, and most of the early adopters of the Switch were Wii U players. So people were like, discrediting that game, but obviously it blew up to be the best selling game for Nintendo for the Switch 1. But then ARMS came out, and then Splatoon came out, so then things started rolling kind of like after that. Like around like May, June, July. No, I'm glad that you mentioned third-party games, Felipe, because it made me... for one, it moved the stream along, and two, it made us actually have good discussion about what happened back then. I know you were like 5 when the Wii U was out, Felipe. You were young, so you don't remember the time period. A lot of the kids that are getting big on YouTube now, like the guys that are, you know, that grew up with the Wii U, they don't realize how bad it was, because when you're 5, 6, 7 years old or whatever, you weren't on the internet like that. If you were 10, 11, 12, you're not on the internet like that. You're more concerned about, you know, dates at school, or, you know, your parents are buying you games. You're not online like people like adults are. So a lot of people have these memories of the Wii U. If you had the Wii U when you were a child, it wasn't that bad. Your parents bought you the games. You know, you got a game for your birthday, you got a game for Christmas, and there was plenty to play. And maybe you probably had a 3DS as well. So it's a bit different from people that were already adults and like we can be on the internet, you know. You weren't 5. How old were you, Felipe? When the Wii U launched, how old were you? Go ahead and let us know. How old were you? You definitely weren't. You weren't old enough to be all over the internet like that, even though some kids are. But you know you're not supposed to. You're dealing with school, with grade school. Let's be real, or junior high. That's what you were dealing with when the Wii U. Remember, the Wii U is now 12 years. No, it is going on what? 14 years old. Yeah, 2012, 2022. It's going on 14 years old. So you were a tween. You were either a tween or you were a child, because you're not over the age of 30, because you've always said that you're not over the age of 30. So you're in your 20s. So 14 years ago, you were a tween or you were a teen. That's when you had the Wii U. You were a teen. You were 8. Okay, so there you go. You're even younger. So you grew up and you were getting to be a tween, right? So you were 8 years old. So you don't know the scenario. You were more worried about what fruit roll-up your mom was gonna pack in your lunch bag, and what if the chocolate milk was gonna be at the school. That's what you were mainly worried about, was chocolate milk, fruit roll-ups, and recess time. That's what you were worried about, and long division, or your times tables. That's what you were worried about. You were not, because when I was 8 years old, yeah, there was video games, but trust me, I was not worried about console wars, and I was worried about, hey, that girl looks cute over there. I like this pencil. I had Pogs or something. I don't know what the heck I was doing, but I can tell you I was not online console and talking about flops of systems and all that. I did not care. Like Sega CD, Sega 32X flops, like all my friends that were Sega fans, they did not care. Like, we were not worried about that. We were not worried about that at all. Not one bit. Not even in high school, bro. And even when I got older, like, I did not care about the GameCube flop, bro. I did not care. But the GameCube was what, 20 years ago now? Bro, I was not caring about the GameCube flopping 20 years ago. I can tell you that right now. I was not. That was the least of my concerns. Yeah, there used to be, you know, they used to sell the pencils that had the different designs, like movie characters, like Aladdin or like, you know, Lion King and all. Like, I was more worried about that than I was more worried about the cool erasers and pencils and like the book fair or like the book orders. Like, they had the yellow pages in there with all the cool different books, and I was more worried about, you know, like I said, what type of chocolate milk you're getting. Man, you ain't no worried about no damn video game system flopping or not, or games. You got games whenever you got games. That was it. You went home, you did your homework, you played outside, you rode your bike. I used to ride my bike over stuff. I used to run, fight people, tackle. Used to roughhouse, throw boomerangs and stuff. We used to, I don't know, like, when I was younger, like when I was like in the NES era, right? Bro, I was not worried about console sales. Like, that didn't even really matter, like, at all. Like, yeah, we heard things here too, but it wasn't like, no, like nobody cared. Yeah, the Scholastic book catalogs. They had the yellow pages, the white with the yellow, and all the cool different books that you could order. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I was worried about what shoes to wear and stuff like that, man. Ain't nobody worried about all that other stuff. I did not care. I just play whatever I can play. Let's see here. What another alternate universe timeline? My favorite company, Sega, won. Sega Saturn and Sega Dreamcast. It's successful, still make hardware. Probably, yeah. If those were all successful, yeah. But the whole gaming industry would be completely different. I mean, Microsoft consoles might not exist. Nintendo, who knows what would have happened? Sony, I mean, who knows? Like, if Sega was successful, like, we have no idea what... Because, like, you know, games go to systems that are successful. If your system sells, you're going to get games. If your system doesn't sell, you're probably not going to get games. So, do less games go to PlayStation and go to Nintendo if Sega's really successful? Absolutely. A lot of those PS1 games... maybe don't go to PS1. Maybe they go to Sega Saturn or Sega whatever, you know, instead. Maybe they go to Dreamcast instead. So, yeah, like, if Sega was successful, how we know things would be different. Yo, shout outs to Uncario with the opening thread.
Will people ever let the poor Wii U just rest in peace?
I'm sorry.
Tears of joy rolling on the floor laughing.
I'm sorry, I'm the one who brought up the Wii U. I'm the one because... Felipe said he triggered my PTSD and said, "Who cares about third-party support?" You know, like, and that just, it was like the My Hero animation, like the, like, what's the thing that All Might passes down? Like, like this when it goes, and it goes like into like the inner thing goes. It was like that. It was like my PTSD just went but not a good thing, a bad thing. It was like the damn All Might thing, bro. That's what I was feeling right now. It was like, oh, hold on. Don't say that before you jinx us. Before P. Hines comes out of retirement and says, no third party for you! And like ruins third party for everybody. Don't do that, man. It's bad. don't. It just triggered, my brain just went, like, I just like twitched right there, bro, for just a half second. I'm sorry. I remember how it used to be, bro. It sucks. I'm sorry, guys, man. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Uncario. I couldn't let that one go. I couldn't let that one go. I couldn't let that one go, man. I really couldn't. I had to say something. I had to lecture. I'm sorry. I know that might have, you know, got us sidetracked, but that one was a necessary sidetrack. Okay? Necessary sidetrack on that one because I had to. Yeah, all for one, yeah, but or one for all, bro. All for none. How about it's called none for you? That was what Jeff Keighley took out one of his hairs and gave it to the Wii U. They all wanted that system to fail. They took out the hair and put it in. Miyamoto ate the hair, then all of a sudden they just passed no third-party game. None for you. It's called None for You. That's what it's called. None for You. That was the Wii U's. That was its quirk. Its quirk was None for You. Get no third-party games. That's what it was. That's what its quirk was. Oh my gosh, man. None for You. That's the quirk, bro. Do you think we'll get another Sega console? Probably not, man. Dreamcast got mad games, but it failed. How did those games coming off the Saturn? Dreamcast, the thing about Dreamcast definitely got some good games. It definitely got some stuff, but the problem with Dreamcast is that they never really were able to take off because the PlayStation 2 crippled them. Hey, what's up, Shaw X? Welcome, brother. I know you've been here for a while. What's good? The PS2 crippled them when it comes to the memory and some of the shortages and things that were happening. So the PS2 crippled them, and on top of that, they were never able to really get Sega or, you know, Sonic to be like that true big system seller. They were never really able to do that. And then also the piracy. The piracy absolutely ravaged them as well. People were just stealing games. Like, it was pretty easy to burn Dreamcast games. So that was also a big problem too. People were stealing games. They were never able to get Sega, like Sonic Adventure, to be like that true system seller. And then the PS2 came out and just absolutely trampled it. So yeah, that's what happened there. What's up, Daniel? Dreamcast was ahead of its time. It was a very good system, but it did not have the big system sellers. And I think that another problem with Sega, with the Dreamcast, is that people got tired of Sega's crap. It was like, okay, you have the Sega Genesis, that was great. But then in between the Sega Genesis and the Sega Dreamcast, you had the Sega CD, that was a flop. You have the Sega 32X, that was a flop. You have the Sega Saturn, that was a flop. You have the Sega Nomad, that was a flop. They had 4 straight hardware flops in a row. People completely lost confidence in Sega. Despite having great games, people were like, yeah, I'll wait for PlayStation. Because PlayStation was successful, and they supported, in that whole time period of Sega was flopping left and right with hardware, Sony just put out a PS1 that had everything, that was starting to get, and like, it was like, well, why should I buy a Sega Dreamcast when the PS2's coming out next year, and I played my PS1 for like, you know, 5 years plus or 7 years plus. It had no chance. The PS1's library was impeccable. It was an impeccable library with incredible games and exclusives. So why, and then Sega was just releasing flop left and right. People just lost confidence in Sega. You know, I remember people were like, Dreamcast was coming out and people were like, oh, are you gonna buy it? It's like, nah, I'll just wait for GameCube, PS2, or Xbox. Honestly, that's what people were saying. I'll just wait. Mainly people I'll just wait for PS2. I'll just wait for PS2 because, you know, you didn't have enough money to buy all of them. A lot of people did not. You could only buy one. And people were like, yeah, I'll buy PS2. If I'm gonna put my money somewhere, it's gonna be on PS2 because I know I'm gonna get, you know, all these games. I know Sony's gonna release their first party games, and it's not going to be dead or flop or release like what's it called, like Sega did all throughout the 90s, flopping left and right with add-ons and failed systems. The Sega Saturn come out with that. What happened with that? Already junked it, did something else. On top of that, did you guys know that Sega of America made like another cartridge-based system or something like that was not like the Sega Saturn? And literally was going to launch it until like Sega Japan found out about it. I gotta go back and look exactly what happened. But they commissioned Nvidia to do that. But then they scrapped the system and they wanted their money back, like the $5 million or whatever. But the guy who runs Nvidia right now, that Gen guy, the you guys know who I'm talking about, like the CEO of Nvidia, who's still there now, that talked on the Nintendo Direct, or like the Nintendo, not the partner showcase. He talked on the Nintendo Creator Voice. He was the last one talk about how Iwata's vision for the Switch 2. It's still the same guy. He said, no, don't take back the money. Let me keep the money, and you guys can have stock in my company. We'll give you guys stock. And then Sega was like, all right. Sega of America said, okay. So then Sega of America took the stock, right? And they sold off the stock a long time ago. But if they would have held on to that stock, it would have been worth like trillions down at this point. It was Nvidia. That's who helped them commission it. Jensen Huang. Yeah, that guy. So Sega, if they simply would have just held on to that Nvidia stock, they could have cashed that stock out and bought out maybe everyone. That thing would have been worth $1 bazillion by now, because that was at the very beginning of Nvidia. So if they would have just held on to that stock, they cashed it out like for millions, but it was decades ago, right? But if they would have just held on to that stock and kept it, oh my gosh, Sega would be the richest company in the world right now, because they would have had stock from the very beginning of Nvidia. The very beginning of Nvidia. Man, I wish that was me, because I would have held on, because you can tell that guy, he was going places. You can tell that Nvidia was going places from the very beginning. You can tell. So if I was in the tech sphere, man, I would have held on and I would have cashed it out. That would have been crazy. Sega would have been on top of the world. They would have been able to afford anything, you know? But just another line of bad Sega mistakes, right? And there were tensions between Sega, Japan, and... Oh my god, tensions is cutting it. There was bad blood, and there was hatred towards those two, towards each other. Absolutely. It was bad. Remember reading magazines about the Sega Neptune, and it confused me because it was the Master System, Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn, 32X, the Dreamcast, and it was all confusing trying to understand what was what. Yeah, me too. I remember seeing the Sega Genesis, and then seeing the Sega 32X, and then seeing the Sega CD. It's like, oh, you take the Sega Genesis thing, you plug something at the top, then you put something on the side. Okay, no. Now here's the Sega Saturn. Oh, no. Oh, here's the portable. Oh, Sega Game Gear. Oh, no, Sega Nomad. Oh, Sega Nomad. You can take your Sega Genesis games. You can put them inside. You can play your games anywhere. It's like, whoa, man, slow down. What is all this? There's too much. So I didn't get any of that crap. My parents did not buy me any of that. I didn't spend any of my money on that. What I got was a freaking Super Nintendo, and I got a Game Boy. That's what I got. I got a Super Nintendo and I got a Game Boy because it was cheap and the games were cheap, and the Game Boy took 2 AA batteries, I think. So and I got Pokemon back in the day, and I got like a couple other Game Boy games, and that was it. I got like Kirby or something like that, and I got NES games, and I got Super Nintendo games, and I got some 64 games here and there. But yeah, nobody cared, bro. Back then, people were like, dude, what is all this Sega crap? People were just playing Super Nintendo. People were playing N64. People were playing PS1. People just ignored it. Like, literally, like, everybody just ignored all, like, people liked Sega Genesis. I played that. That was, yes. Sega Genesis, yes. But the 32X and the 32 CD and the Saturn and all, it's like, dude, they're just releasing way too much too soon. It was cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, let me just, hold up. Let me, it was cool. I agree. Not the Sega CD, not the 32. Those weren't really that cool. But the Sega Saturn was cool because it had a game called Knights. And that game was like, wow, if I could afford this system, I would buy it because of Knights. But nobody had, like, you know, when you're younger, you don't have the money like that. You can't get multiple platforms. There was not the type of revenue people can make now. Like, you know, there wasn't like side hustles like people can get side hustles now, like, you know, like eBay or buying and selling things. Like, you weren't able to do it. Even people that are broke now in today's day can sell things and make money. Like, back then you do yard sales and stuff, but it was limited. Even I was broke a lot, but I would sell stuff on eBay to make some money, right? To be able to afford, you know, PS2, Xbox game, like when I was older, when I was an adult. Back then you didn't have all that, you know? So you would, you know, put in cans, or you would, you know, try to do a little side job on the weekends or whatever, right? But it was tough. Like, minimum wage was like $3 back then or something, you know? So you weren't really making much. These systems were like, you know, $300 or something like that, right? For like a Sega Saturn. So it was tough. It was tough to buy them, to be able to buy the systems. So you had to just buy what you could really just get. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to just really go with what was reliable and dependable. And what was reliable and dependable was Nintendo and PlayStation. Those were the two reliable, dependable brands. So you're going to get yourself a Super Nintendo. You're going to get a N64 for some. You're going to get a Game Boy. A lot of people had Game Boy. Or you're going to get a PS1. That's what people were buying. People were buying that. At least in the US and in Europe. I know in Japan, Sega Saturn did okay, or it had some traction in Japan. But yeah, I never had a Sega console. I had this Nintendo NES. Yeah, the NES, the Super NES, Game Boy Color. Did not care about the war between Sega and Nintendo. Yeah, I didn't either. As good as this SNES was, honestly, Switch put out a better exclusive library than any other console in history. Switch did. Switch 1. I think Switch 1 has one of the best libraries ever, if not the best. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Knights is awesome. Knights is a great game. I played it at Blockbuster. I took my bike. I remember it was like the mid-90s. I didn't have a car at that time. I was still trying to learn how to drive. But I didn't have a car, so I took my bike to Blockbuster. And I remember seeing it. There was a station wide open. There was nobody there. It was right next to the Game Boy Color, where you can, like, the Game Boy camera, you can print out stuff or whatever. And I remember seeing the station there, and I saw Knights, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's a Sega Saturn, like a big, you know, black box. And I'm like, oh wow, okay, let me go play it. And I remember playing it. I remember just flying. I was like, oh, the graphics. I was like, oh, this is awesome. But there was no way that I could afford the system, and there was no way my parents were gonna buy me it. So it was just like, that was my experience with Knights, was just playing it at Blockbuster in the mid '90s, and just being blown away. Like, oh my god, if I could afford this system, if I had money to buy it, I'd totally buy it. But once again, I had to go with stuff that was reliable. I had to go with, you know, Game Boy. I had to go with Super Nintendo. I had to go with playing my PS1 at my friend's house, or go with the N64. You know, because like we knew what was going on with those systems. Straw Hat, thank you for the 7 months, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate it, bro. Sega was like Apple back in the 90s. I love Sega Saturn and Sega Dreamcast. They were underrated sleeper hits. Yeah, there was definitely bangers on there, but the problem was like I said, there was too many flops in between, man. There was too many flops in between. It was confusing for the fans, and people just went with what they knew. And also, the problem with the Saturn for development-wise, it was like 2 separate like processor situation. So like people found the PS1 just way easier to develop for, so people just made games on the PS1. And the Saturn just didn't sell well enough in the US. So I think that was the issue there. Shout outs to Wind Waker. Great game. Shout outs to Wind Waker. Alright, okay. So, alright. We're gonna have to wrap it up here, guys. I'm so sorry. I went like 15 minutes over on time. Big love to Uncario. Thank you, man. I thank you for the big 25. Got us to that. So I totally lost track of time. Oh my goodness. Time flies when you're having fun, right? So I want to say thank you to everybody that came out to today's stream. My wife is probably waiting on me. She's like, where are you at? We need to eat dinner. So thank you guys for coming out tonight's stream. Check out my most recent video. Big love to everybody that dropped donos today. I really appreciate it. Check out my most recent video where I talked about a lot of cool stuff. So I'll be up early tomorrow morning making videos for you guys. So I'll have videos for you guys tomorrow morning. We'll see if there's any Nintendo Direct or any type of situation. I don't think there's gonna be, but you know, whatever. So we'll see what happens there. But thank you guys so much, man. Great stream. Shout out to everybody that dropped donos. Big love to Uncario getting us to that overclock at the very end, man. I appreciate that. Let's go. Thank you so much, Uncario. Justin, Deported Sicilian, George FT, Dan Dips, Straw Hat. Thank you guys so much, man. I appreciate it. Quiet Lion Gaming, Montana, Minato, Huddy. Thank you guys so much. Cedric, DeAndre, Dane Gonzalez, Crispy Tofu. Thank you guys, man. You guys have a nice night. Enjoy your night. And shout outs to everybody, all the members, Party Man, Elite Ninjas, and ninjas that came through to the stream today, man. I appreciate it. You guys hit that like button on your way out. And yeah, but we'll see you guys for tomorrow's stream. All right, guys. Peace out.